Cheers, queers! What's on the big gay agenda today, Theora?
Today we're back to discuss the second part of Pluto, episode 3. Woo!
Woo! Oh, we're in for another journey in this episode.
No, we are. This is the I is sad episode.
We've been sad for a little while, but it will get better. Soon it'll get better.
Soon it'll get better. You're right. But before we jump into the rest of this episode, we have a few quick announcements.
Yes, so the time has come. The giveaway is finally here, and it is live.
It is.
It is live, yes.
Yes.
On our social media.
Yes.
Woohoo! You can win a Pluto mug or a Pluto candle. Both have been seen in the show. Not these exact mugs. These are just,
that would be wild.
That would be amazing. No, we would not be giving those away. Sorry.
No, this has not been touched by a film that I'm aware of, or an MDM.
Yes, if it was, we would.
You would never see it.
That would be Crusher. That would be in the background in a box,
guarded by lasers,
like lights. Yeah, by lasers. Anyway, you can win Pluto merch that is not sponsored by the show or any platform where you enter. So to enter the giveaway, just click the link in the description or on our social media channels. We'll be posting about it a bunch. You just enter your email, I believe, put your name in, and you get entered, but you can get bonus entries by completing some additional tasks, like either following us, watching a video. We got lots of opportunities for bonus entries. So if you do them all, you got so many more chances to win. How fun is that?
So that sounds also, like a gay old time.
We do want to make sure that this giveaway is accessible as much as possible. So we are opening it to everyone worldwide, but it is up to you to know if it's legal in your country or not, because some countries apparently it's not legal to do giveaways. So to get around that, we just be like, it's worldwide, but if your country it's not legal, then unfortunately you can't enter. But it's up to people entering to know that, because there's a lot of different laws and I don't know them all. So that I just incriminated myself. Sorry, May.
Help us help you is what we're saying.
And enter the giveaway because it is fun and it's been a long time coming. We've been talking about it and we're finally here.
Yes. So
I want to get this to you.
Enjoy that. Okay. So that was the fun announcement. And then our next section is corrections and clownery. So we did get one comment on YouTube that I wanted to bring up for us to talk about. So this comment came from Catherine CHR. This was on our Pluto episode 2 part 3 discussion. So this listener writes, I love these discussions. For me, this whole series highlights the heart versus brain balance. Every decision they make represents that constant fight. We don't think about how often it happens to all of us and how we make our decisions, but it says everything about your character, your morals, your principles, etc. That was such a crazy, insightful thing to say. So thank you for that. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you, but that is the whole entire dilemma, especially with I and May and but you could argue every character is kind of going through this. Even the throuple has the heart versus brain kind of thing going on.
Definitely. There's no braining going on though.
Pang. But sometimes Jan.
Yeah, but that is very true. I love the how we make our decisions says everything about your character and your roles. It's kind of like that. Do you put away your shopping cart if no one's around to see you?
Right?
I mean, I do, but
I do.
In general, because you're supposed to. But do you do it if there's no one there to see you doing the wrong thing? It's interesting.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a really good way to kind of frame the show, because that it's really true. I think everybody is struggling with that, even Meemaw with so thank you for that. That was a really, really good comment. Please, as always, leave your thoughts about the episode, and we will include some of your comments in our episodes when we film. So thank you.
Yes, they make us happy.
They do. So with that, let's get into part 2 of our discussion, which picks up with part 3 of the actual episode. So we have Emo Ai. Emo Ai is at home and she's in the dark, sitting in her feels because she's emo right now. And she's by herself with a little omelet sitting in front of her. And she starts thinking back to this recent memory where came back from work because she's in her flight attendant uniform. So this must have been fairly recent. And she immediately goes to Meemaw and they embrace in a hug and they start making plans, right? Meemaw's like, oh my God, I'll cook for you. We'll do all these things. And she's like, afterthought. Take care of the shop while I take care of And we're here in this memory because Ai's abandonment issues are being triggered right now, particularly like her family constantly Plutoing her all the time. And in this particular memory, it's like from Ai's point of view, who's the one reminiscing on this, she feels like, wow, it's always been like this where my own grandmother favors my sister and is not shy about it. Like Meemaw is like clearly favoring from Ai's point of view, favoring right in front of her. And then she's like, hey, afterthought, you run the shop while I go hang out with your sister, right? But we know from watching the whole show that Meemaw babies particularly because she thinks needs that because she's the sibling that can't take care of herself, whereas Ai is the one that can. But if you also really watch the scene too, came to Meemaw first also. So it also, from Oom's point of view, if you look at the scene, it almost reads like needs Meemaw because like what does do? She's like, can I sleep with you tonight? Can you make me food? So it's like almost like needs to be babied, like from Ai's point of view, like watching this, right? So it's like they're in a codependent relationship a little bit, Meemaw and
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, I don't feel like people are usually going around to their grandmothers being like, can I sleep in your room?
As an adult. An adult.
As an adult, especially.
Right.
So, but it does make her closer to Meemaw. I keep wanting to call her Grandmam for some reason, and like she is not Grandmam.
No, Grandmam would throw you out of the house for suggesting this.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Oh God. Anyway, that's not why we're here.
That is not why we're here. And then Meemaw's someone that offers to make her food. And again, it kind of like, yeah, that's a love language, making people food. But also, again, it reads like needs Meemaw to cook for her. Whereas like Ai is just off on her own, being a strong, independent woman, and therefore is cast aside as this like afterthought. But the shitty part is like Ai's feelings in this moment, thinking about this memory, is that like this little interaction between and Meemaw, it's like it's everything that Ai needs and wants, which she needs somebody to hug her. She wants and also needs somebody to take care of her, like to cook meals for her just because, and to spend time with her, which was like, hey, stay in my room. That's a form of bonding, like you said. Like it's just like she's watching them have the relationship that she wants. And the shitty part is she's all alone in this house because she went to take care of her family and they're like, get out of here. And she did leave somebody else who was May, who was the one that was like giving Ai all these things that she wants, right? She like took care of her when she hit her head, and then she like cooked for her. She wants to spend time with her. She didn't want Ai to leave. She's like, can you, like, I'd be a terrible person if I told you to stay here because I want you to stay, right? May is like willingly giving Ai all the things she needs and wants. But all of that is shadowed by because everything in Ai's life is shadowed by
The biggest shadow that ever, because Oom's not even like fully around right now. And she's still like the biggest thing going on. But I mean, to be fair, she is in a coma. But
she sure is.
Even like, so back to the flashback, I think Meemaw is taking for granted that Ai's just there all the time because Ai is there. Is always flying somewhere as a flight attendant. She is not around. So when she comes home, it's more of a novelty of seeing her. And so Meemaw's going to give her more attention because she just hasn't seen her. And that's just ups the like taking care of her even more and makes Ai feel even worse because Meemaw's not treating her like that every single day because she sees her all the time. She also, again, like you said, knows she can take care of herself. So they don't need the same things. And we've also talked about how Meemaw and Ai are so similar. So they're just like coexisting as like the same person going through the motions each day, that they can't bond because they're too similar. So like they keep kind of clashing in a way.
Yeah, this episode in particular really highlights the similarities between Meemaw and Ai. Like, it's really evident that they're like the same person. And like you said, sometimes it makes people butt heads. And to your point, which is a really good point, like the two of them are going through life together, which is like running the store and surviving, versus who has a really good job where she makes money and stuff and has different worries and is also not home as much. So you're right, it's the novelty of being like, oh, I have an hour with before she has to go back to work. I must baby her in this whole hour that we have. You know what I mean? Versus Ai, she's like, oh, it's you again.
Yeah, even if, you know what I mean? If Meemaw thought was perfectly capable of taking care of herself and doesn't need anything, she would still be like that. Correct. Because, again, she hasn't seen her.
Right, correct, exactly. And Ai's just like, why do I not get love? Because she's being emo right now, which is understandable. Because, like, she was having a good old gay old time, and then this all shit, then the shadow of comes in again.
The shadow of You already got your title. Yeah, anyway.
Shadow of
I love how they did this flashback, though, because we've seen the way that so many different shows do flashbacks, and some of them were just like, what is going on?
Some of them give you no warning, what the fuck so ever. Yeah. You're just like, am I in a flashback? Like, what is happening?
This one did so well because she turns to, like, where it happened, or
and the light
somewhere, like, it makes it look like that, and it flashes to it, and then she turns her head back as we flash out of it, and it's just such a perfect transition.
It is.
That
it's really good.
Perfectly like combines the stories. It's just, I can't, like, the turning back. I don't know what it did, but it just, my brain loved it.
Yeah. No, it just, again, it's like she's in that room, and it's not just like, yeah, she's having a memory about being Plutoed, but also like it happened right there. So she's like seeing the spot and then remembering, and like, it connects everything.
Because it's a trigger for her.
Yeah, she's being triggered. Exactly. Like, yeah, it was a really clever transition. I love that one.
I don't think we've ever seen something like that in another show.
The closest one I can think of is Reverse With Me. Had a really good one where Cleo walks into the house and then she turns, and it's like a memory with her dad, and then she turns again, and it's another memory in the same house, and she turns again, and it's like this contiguous memory like throughout time. It was a really good one, and it made a full circle, and then you're back to the present. That was a really good one that they did.
Yeah, that one. That was the one that I think I was thinking of as this one, but since this one was just a solo one.
No, this one's really good because I didn't expect it, and they're just like, boom.
Yeah, I think this one, because like the flash takes you out of this scene. Mm-hmm. That one, it was kind of like you were still there, and I do love both of them. Are very, very
they're both really good.
That other one was like a memory of just being present in that memory. This one was just like a flash, like she's taken out of everything.
They had to make up for that weird transition they did with the candles in the last episode, where it's like eyes on the floor, then they're like candles, and they're like eyes back to Ai and May. Like, what is this transition? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect.
And who lit the candles?
Who lit the candles? Okay, anyway, so while Ai is lost in this memory, she gets a video call from May, and Ai must hesitate for a bit kind of before answering this thing, because when she does, May's like, I wasn't even sure you were gonna answer. Because, like, it's not like they left things on weird terms when Ai left to, like, go take care of Grandma, which she technically did.
Yeah. She never does lie. She is always taking care of Grandma.
She's not wrong. Grandma was not feeling okay, but it's because is in the Oom's not doing well. But anyway, like, it could be that May's like, well, I wasn't sure how horribly your night went and that you wouldn't pick it up. But I think Ai just hesitated for a bit before she picks it up. So May's happy that Ai picked up the phone. And then Ai's like, Ai doesn't say anything about that. She's just like, why did you call me on video? Because that is weird. May's like, well, I wanted you to see me. don't you want to see me? I can turn the camera off.
But I love that she does video call her because, like, she wanted Ai to be able to see her. Like, she knows that she can't see her, obviously, but she knows that Ai's been going through shit. She's been sad. So she knows that she could make her happy just by, like, Ai being able to see her since they're not in the same place.
It's it's the key. Yeah, the key word is I wanted you to see me. I think this is just all flirting, but what you're saying is absolutely correct. And what's sad is that, like, to your point, like, May's like, this is a form of cheering you up. So May is really, like, cheerful when she first is, like, on the phone, and then she does, like, once Ai kind of says this thing, she does that fake smile because she realizes that, oh, what if Ai doesn't want to see me? Because she can't tell, which is part of the problem. But I immediately is like, no, keep the camera on. Like, who's it hurting? What are we hurting? The environment? It's fine, keep the camera on. So, again, this is more masterful flirting from May. The fact that A, she concocted this, and B, she can aim the camera perfectly, unassisted, she's by herself, is amazing. So I think that she must have practiced video calls probably a lot to be able to just do that. You know what I mean? The way she's just free holding that with nobody. The maid's gone. She's by herself, like, aiming this camera. And she's not like, am I in the frame? She doesn't ask Ai for help. She just got it down immediately.
I mean, like, the framing of both of them, like, later in the shower, you're just like, how is this, like, so perfect? Anyway, but we won't talk about it.
That scene is so funny. But kudos to May for executing this beautifully.
So when she offers to turn the camera off, like, yeah, she was a little sad about it, but, like, she was so sincere in that moment. Because if I would have said, yeah, I would prefer to just talk through a regular call, she would have done it in a heartbeat. And it would have hurt her that I didn't want to see her, but she really did only care about what I needed in this moment. It wasn't about what she wanted.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. Like, again, kudos to May, because calling her and seeing her is exactly what I needed right now, because she's all alone in this house feeling Plutoed, right? Hence that memory. And thinking about how her life has always been like this, where she's always been the one in the shadows, right? Then May appears on the video call. And if you look at May, like, May, yeah, she did a video call, but May didn't, like, get herself all beautiful and shit. Like, she didn't go put on extra makeup or change her clothes or anything. She's just in her pajamas in bed calling Ai. And Ai has been in these pajamas for many hours doing many things. So, like, for me, it's like she's on Ai's level. It's just like a call, like a natural call to be like, are you okay? Like, everybody's in their sleep clothes. There's no makeup on. This is just May. Yeah, so for me, this was like a moment of, like, equality between them, the way they're just, like, ready for bed and having this call. And it's not like, it didn't feel staged coming from May, is kind of my point.
Yeah, it's just natural. Like, she does want to, she really does care in this moment. It's not about winning her over. It's just really about caring for her.
But I think also she's like, you want to see me, right? It's also flirtatious. Like, it's all of
it's always going to be flirtatious because pretty lady.
Duh. Okay, so then May asks about Ai's grandmother, which is the reason Ai gave for leaving her. And Ai assures May that Meemaw is better now, which is not a lie, to your point. She's not lying. But May notes that even though she's giving her good news, Ai sounds really sad about it. She's like, why are you sad? Was this the grandma? Why are you sad she's okay? And I love this because nobody else seems to ever notice when Ai is sad. Like, nobody. So I think this is a big deal that, like, somebody notices she's not okay and, like, brings it up to her. And then May continues and tells Ai that she's like, listen, like, if you're upset or something you want to talk about, you know, you can talk to me about it. You don't have to, like, be alone in a kitchen with your feelings. Like, you can tell me anything. And Ai replies, some stories are not ready to be told. And I thought this was a really cute way for the writers to have Ai, the future novelist, essentially say, I'm not ready to talk about this. And the key word here is she's not ready. Ready is the key word. Ai's not saying I'll never share my feelings with you. She's just like, I'm not at that point right now. And truly, this is good information for May to have, because like Ai is warming up to her on an emotional intimacy level, which is good. Like, that's a step in the right direction to like get to know each other as actual people. So I think May's response was very emotionally mature and very on the nose when she says, "Tell me the parts you want me to know when you're ready. I'll wait." I just love that response from May. It's so utterly perfect, because like that's what an Ai needs to hear. But then, like, also from May's point of view, like, she's been dying to know Ai for so long. And here she is. She has these opportunities to, like, learn things about her, but she never, like, pushes too hard to get Ai to, like, tell her stuff and be honest. She's like, she'll push enough to be like, hey, you're safe with me. Like, do it when you're ready. So I love that she does that. It was such a beautiful response.
I do too. I love the line, "I will wait."
Yes.
Because of the big meaning that's underneath what she's actually saying. Because, like you said, she has been waiting so long just to have Ai, to know Ai, but she does have her with her now. So she's willing to wait longer to fully have
Yes.
Ai, like for Ai to be ready to be Ai with her. So I think that's another reason why she's probably not like pushing her to like come clean about being Ai, because she does want it to be when Ai is ready. Because if she's not ready, then it's not going to be in a good place where they can like move on from it.
I mean, they have the shadow between them still, to be fair.
The shadow of
The shadow of And to be fair, like, that's gonna be a thing. But I like that you said that, like, May knows it's Ai. So she's like, when Ai's ready to tell me she's not I'm just gonna wait for her to be ready, because, like, maybe that's her emotional support armor, is just pretending to be
Yeah, that's...
May doesn't know, because she can't ask her. She can't be like, why are you still pretending to be because then the show's over.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I can hide behind Like, if she messes up or anything, it's It's not Ai.
Right. But like, as you see, like, their conversations, like, very much going forward and like little by little just start becoming about Ai and not anything related. And I think May recognizes that she's having a conversation with Ai right now, not Ai pretending to be And so I think that's when she's most careful with what she's saying and how much she's pushing. Because, like, it's one thing to be, like, in the bedroom with her and be like, you're right? And then, like, Ai's trapped pretending to be I can't be like, no, girlfriend, I don't want to hold your hand because I'm supposed to be, semi-engaged to you or whatever with those rings. But, like, here it's just like how are you? And Ai is being very much herself. And that's when May is like, I think May is always aware when Ai is being like herself. And that's when she's most careful about what she's saying and how much she's pushing.
Because May is smart. A little too smart. Because I'm a little scared of May.
I mean, May was a lot.
Her brain is way too smart and calculated.
It really is. And after May says, I'll wait, if you listen in the background, the music shifts into like this really warm melody. And I think that's a reflection of how Ai is feeling, because we're going to start using the word warmth throughout the episode. And I think the music was really trying to hit like Ai's feeling warm right now. Okay, so then after we check in on Meemaw, May shifts the conversation into something simple and not heavy emotionally. And she says, have you finished that omelet I made you? You know, the one you interrupted our sexcapades for, that omelet you needed so badly.
That omelet we talked about hours ago.
Yeah. So we know that I tried to eat it, but she was like bawling her eyes out. And that's not the time to try and be eating food. But she doesn't share that with May. But May, like you said, is so smart. She's like, I know that bitch. She wasn't hungry. I know she didn't eat it. So May asks, she's like, why did you eat it? I did my very best to make you food. And Ai, who's having a lot of conflicting feelings, almost snaps at May a little bit when she asks. And then Ai's like, did you really do your best for me? Because again, she's in her feels about like nobody loving her. So that was a very insecure response from Ai.
Especially going out of their way to do something for her.
Yeah, she feels like nobody does their best for her. She gets scraps of affection that are meant for and Ai is always the one doing her best for everybody else, but it's never the best. They never see her efforts as their best, right? So this is like a very insecure response. And May's like, why are you asking me that? You literally watched me make this. Like, you saw how determined I was. Like, I navigated that kitchen blind and did that shit for you. Like, what do you mean, girl? You watched me do it. And so May, there's no argument to that because we were all there. We all watched Ai basically like swooning as May was making the omelet because that was so impressive what she did. So May says, listen, it would make me really happy if you eat the entire omelet. And even though I can't see you, I can hear you. And like, what an amazing excuse to keep Ai on the phone. Because if Ai doesn't want to talk, right, because she's in her feels, May's like, how about you eat the omelet I made you and I'll just listen to you eat the omelet. She's so
good at this. It's a good thing Ai actually likes it. I mean, I believe she does.
She does. She ends up making it like multiple times.
But like, could you imagine someone like, I'm going to listen to you eat the rest of it and you didn't like it and you're just trying to like, yeah, force it down.
Luckily, we're absolutely not in that scenario with them. This becomes their favorite meal, like, going forward, is this omelet that May made her.
I want an omelet from May.
She does her best. Well, she wouldn't do her best for you, only for Ai.
That's fair.
Which is fair. All right, so then Ai, who likes being bossed around by May on some level, does as she's told. And then she's like, I don't believe you that you're going to listen to me eat this whole omelet. Because that sounds really weird to be like, I'm going to listen to you eat a whole meal. Like, that's kind of weird. I'm not going to lie.
That's fair. But also, why would you doubt and underestimate May? Never do that.
I know.
Everyone in her life
Ai needs to get her shit together. Well, Ai's not okay right now. Let's be honest. She's not thinking clearly. And then May, who's pleased that this is working, because again, this is an excuse to keep Ai on the phone and get her like talking. She raises the stakes because she's always challenging people. And she's like, I'm going to listen to literally everything that you do. And so, of course, Ai doesn't believe this either. So May doubles down. She's like, listen, girl, I'll show you. I'm not exaggerating. I will literally follow you to the ends of the earth. That's what's going to happen. Just accept it. And then Ai, like, as she's eating the omelet, like, starts staring at May and starts smiling. And she'll keep doing this, like, throughout the show. When, like, May can't see her, she, like, will do these things where she just, like, looks her in the eye and is, like, happy. And it's really, really cute. Because, like, honestly, in this moment, May basically just hugged Ai with words, which is what she needed in this sad moment in her house by herself. And I love that Ai lets May cheer her up. Instead of, like, arguing back and being insecure and defensive, she just, like, lets herself be warm and happy about it, which I think is really big for Ai. So she just, like, accepts the love she's getting, basically, instead of, like, fighting it, you know, because she's wounded.
Which is a big deal for her, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So then these two proceed to have a phone call date, which is really cute, where they're, like, literally on the phone until they fall asleep. And so then Ai, after I guess she eats the whole omelet because she's whipped and does what she's told. And she starts doing chores around the house while May is, like, and, like, her nighttime routine while May's, like, guessing what she's doing from the sounds. And it's really cute because they're both, like, smiling and having fun and just, like, existing. And honestly, this might be one of the first times the two of them are both fully unguarded and just, like, living life. Like, they're doing stuff that has nothing to do with coma or, like, their, like, families or anything, like, heavy or real. She's just, like, doing dishes and they're laughing, you know? And I think personally, it helps that they're not physically in the same room with, like, Ai being unguarded, because Ai can just be Ai. She doesn't have to feel the need to perform and be and watch what she's doing. Not that she's great at it, but not, like, you know what I mean? She doesn't feel the need to, like, fake anything. She's just going about her house doing nighttime chores. And here's May just commenting on it. It's so low stakes. I think it's easy to just be themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the game of May guessing what's going on because it's
Me
so
too.
simple,
Right.
but
It's just a
there
game.
really is the deeper meaning that is basically just that they're both there for each other and able to share these like the mundane things of life and make
Exactly.
it something that's an enjoyable experience, something that they can have together. So, and if they're apart, it would just be boring.
It's definitely domestic cuteness for sure.
It's really
Okay.
cute.
And then whatever May is doing must work because I decides to bring May into the shower, which is the wildest part of all of this. This is so funny. And so she like, I love when she's like got the phone and she's like going into the bathroom and she's like, are you sure you want to follow me into the shower? And like, here's the deal. Like May wanting to follow Ai into the bathroom is not surprising at all. But what is surprising to me about this is that I felt comfortable with this like at all because like the start of the phone call, she was extremely guarded. And then she became so comfortable. She's like, I guess I'll shower with May. Even though May can't see, that's not the point. She's still like letting somebody be with her in a big state of vulnerability. Whether or not May can see is irrelevant. Like, to me, this is a big step for Ai when it comes to like emotional intimacy at all for somebody who has like no practice in it, as we'll come to see throughout this episode. So Ai comes a long way just in this phone call, which is insane. And I can truly only imagine what is going on in May's mind during this because, again, her whole thing is like, I'm just going to guess what's going on based on the sound. So, like, Ai takes the phone, puts it in the shower, and then she can just hear water and stuff. And like, I can only imagine how May's mind is just like running with what she's hearing. Because then, obviously, May admits, she's like, I've never wished more that I had my eyesight back than today. Which is super thirsty because Ai's in the shower, so like I get that. But also she didn't say like right now, she said today. So I think that's a reflection of like how much this whole day has meant to her with Ai coming to save her from the bug. And then like remember this is all one day.
I can't believe this is all one day.
This is all one day. The boat this is all one day. The whole adventure to the planetarium, same day.
Oh my god, we're still there. We're still there. The same day.
This is the same day.
It's been so long.
I falling on top of her. All of this stuff, like making the omelet. Yeah, this is the day that May wishes she had her eyesight back. And then again, Ai, who's being Ai, says, "You're making me blush." Like Ai voluntarily admits what she's feeling, which is feelings for May. So also that was huge for her to say that.
That is really big. That's good to point out. Because yeah, like, May can't figure out from body language of like touching her physically there. So Ai really does respond and tell her what's going on. Which she doesn't really know how to do that in general.
No.
But we are growing. Ai is growing a lot, especially in this episode. But also, I definitely could have just turned the camera off. Because, May would not have known. But unless there's like something like camera off.
Oh yeah, I
don't know
talked. Yeah, I could have said it.
Accessibility thing works. But she didn't, because she does fully trust May. And apparently she also trusts Samsung phones that they wouldn't get hacked and like someone would. That's my main thing.
She also trusts her phone in the shower. Like, also bold of you, Ai.
The phones are pretty good waterproof now, actually. I say from no experience whatsoever. Not in the shower. In the rain.
So, okay, anyway. So this phone call continues past the shower and into bedtime, and they basically, like, talk on the phone until they fall asleep, which is really cute. And it's such a, like, I want to hang out with this person I'm started talking to. It's such a, like, beginning of the relationship type thing where you're, like, on the phone until somebody literally falls asleep, which is, like, so cute. So it's like Ai is dating May without realizing she's actually dating May. Because this was an Ai and May date, this whole phone call. Not a you're pretending to be and extort me from information thing.
I looked at this image, the way that oh my god, Ai's on top. Come on, Caitlin, you know this is Ai. Just like May does. And May is on the bottom in the split screen. And I was always like, why is it feathered? So that means like the line in between is blurry between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been, so like if you think of boxes, it would have been like more of a straight line if it wasn't feathered at all. And I was like, why did they choose to do that? I'm like, it could be the default setting for it, which it is feathered a little bit. But also right now it's kind of like blurring the lines of it and also making it so that they are connected more and they run into each other rather than they're fully separated, because they are falling asleep as one. They are becoming one in a relationship, really. So I love that because it's like kind of merging into each other's lives.
Yeah, I think they did, like at the end where they're trying to fall asleep, they have them both in the same like shot where they're asleep or falling asleep and they're both like in their own beds. They did that in blank, I think. Remember that annoying transition where they like had the thing where they had like Big Nung in the bed and then they like crossfaded into Little Nung, and then for some reason they still added this shot of
then they still had that. I think that was like more of a straight.
That was my point. That was more of a hard line between the two of them, but they were like on the outs emotionally with each other, whereas like these two are not. So it would make sense
connecting,
right? It would make sense visually to be like the line is that they're crossing the line from friends into something else, like.
Because that line has been blurred this whole time, but this is them.
Well, yes, because of
this is because also Ai has always been at May's house. May's never been to their house, I assume. Ai's house. So this was her first like experience in there, and with their actual lives crossing over.
Yeah, exactly. This was a glimpse into Ai's action. Okay, so that was really cute. And then the next day, Ai returns to the hospital, and we learn that Meemaw stayed at side all night. Who knows if this bitch slept? And I knew she was going to do this because they're the same person. So she's like, I'll just go to the hospital. Meemaw's going to still be there. And she probably hasn't eaten anything. So she makes Meemaw May's omelet. And I can imagine I woke up after her phone date feeling just amazing. And she's like all excited to make this omelet. She's like, I'm going to do something nice for my grandmother. And I assume she was probably like texting May or called her basically to be like, hey, is this how you make the omelet? Like this and that. And like, look what I'm doing. And I assume she was in like the best mood ever, because when she comes into the hospital, she's like in a very good mood and she's got this food, right? Which I think helps us interact with Meemaw, because Meemaw was probably up all night. Hasn't slept in who knows how long, hasn't eaten. So I don't think she's in the best mood at all. She's down low, right? So here comes Ai with all this energy, and she's like, get out of here, Ai. And Ai looks disappointed at first, because like she's a puppy dog in this scene. And basically the last time they saw each other, Meemaw was like, get out of here, Ai. So like here we are again, right? But Ai doesn't give up. So she marches into the room, tries again. And this time she explains, she's like, listen, I made a new omelet recipe just for you. And like, this is cute because this is May's impact, right? Because May made Ai feel loved by trying her best to make the food to make her happy. So I think Ai felt really loved and supported by that gesture from May. So she's trying to recreate that for her grandmother, who probably doesn't feel loved in this moment. She probably feels super alone, like she's failing her granddaughters, like she probably feels terrible. So Ai's like, I'll show her I love her with actions. Just like May did. And Meemaw's response is very telling to the omelet. She's like, you eat first, Ai. Basically what Meemaw is saying is like, Ai, take care of yourself and don't worry about me. So to me, this is like Meemaw's way of showing love to Ai by giving Ai permission to put herself first and like leave Meemaw to care for herself and because Oom's like, quote, the burden in this situation, because Oom's helpless. She's literally in a coma.
Yeah.
But I think throughout their whole time where Meemaw has been the caregiver to Ai, I don't think Meemaw ever saw Ai as a burden. because like Ai was always capable of taking care of herself, right?
I think it was only when she wasn't doing well in school and like felt like she had to like get her to be doing better or something like that.
I think she's like worried about Ai like not being as successful as but like I don't think she ever saw her as like the same burden that is, where like is always sick. Can't take care of herself. Like even though Ai is like struggling, she's still resilient. And I think
she's
that like,
always going to find her way.
Right. And I think Meemaw, like Ai, is the type of person who like doesn't want to be seen as a burden to anybody. Because they have that in common. Like Ai doesn't want to be a burden, like, you know. All right. And because Ai has seen this film before, she tells Meemaw, I know exactly what you're doing, because they're the same person. She's like, basically she can see the fact that Meemaw cares about and she's neglecting to take care of herself in order to prioritize So Ai is here to remind her, like, you need to take care of yourself. If you drop dead, you can't help anybody. Like, you need to take care of yourself. So Ai's like, listen, I'll take vigilance over and watch over her while you go do things to, like, keep yourself alive. Basically, like, go eat, rest, whatever. I'll be here. And then Meemaw, who's, remember this is the same conversation with May, right? Where she's like, Ai's trying to be caring, and then Meemaw, who's insecure about it, lashes out at Ai, and she's like, you won't know what to do. Do you know how to take care of patients? What if something happens to You're not going to know what to do. And she tells her to, like, just go home and live your life. Ai, get out of here. Like, I've got this. Like, I'm the only one that can do it. And to me, like, it sounds really harsh, like, because it is. But I think Meemaw meant this as a way to, like, again, unburden Ai by being like, it's my responsibility as the guardian to actually be here. You're her sister. It's not your job. I'm the elder. It's got to be me. But, like, Ai is just like, I just want to be seen as helpful and, like, help you. So obviously that gets to Ai, because she's just like, stop trying to shoo me away.
But that also helps Ai too. Ai is also just like Meemaw, wanting to take care of the other people in her life that she loves. And she's not given that opportunity.
Right. Yep. I agree. But, okay, Ai is pretty resilient in this scene, right? So she's just, like, tries again to get Meemaw to be like, okay, fine, if you won't leave aside, at least eat something, because when was the last time you ate anything? And Meemaw, again, is just like, go away, Ai, go away. So Ai goes, who knows this woman really well, goes for the death blow by attacking Meemaw's pride. She's like, listen, if you don't go, I'm going to carry you out of here. Meaning, like, I will cause a scene in front of all of these doctors and nurses who are going to assume my frail old grandmother can't walk herself out of this room. And then Meemaw's like, okay, fine.
That was my favorite part.
Bitch, like, I know you'll do it.
Everyone will assume that you can't walk, and, like, that's the reason. But I love that she's like, I'm going to go low. If you want to play like this, I'll make you eat.
She took a stab at her pride, and it fucking worked. But before they actually leave the room, Meemaw vents her worries to Ai. And this seemed like kind of a real moment coming from Meemaw. Because again, like, who's she talking to? She can't, like, unburden her emotional, like, worries to anybody. She's just, like, sitting with all of this while in the coma. And she doesn't want to worry Ai. But here it, like, comes out where she tells her that, like, she's, like, really, really upset because led this careful, good life and, like, had everything going for her. And again, Ai is like, why can Ai starts to take that personally because she feels like she doesn't have everything going for her and, like, she doesn't have this great life. And so, like, her face starts falling.
Which I can't blame her because, like, Meemaw's literally listing off all these things. Like, the pain that had to have been hitting Ai in that moment. It was just like, okay, well, I don't have that. I don't have that. This is what Meemaw is saying is a good thing, but I don't have any of that. Does that mean I'm not good?
Yeah, she's like, in her head, she's always being compared to so she's like, oh, is this why Meemaw loves and not me? Because has all these things. But the thing is, like, what Meemaw is saying is more of, like, a spiritual thing and not really a comparing Ai to situation. Ai's just hearing that because that's how she's felt for a long time and hasn't, like, told her grandmother this. That's how she feels. because Meemaw's just confused because has led this good life and therefore should have like good karma in the universe, and therefore like this bad thing shouldn't have happened to somebody who was putting good out into the universe. So that's why she's like, I don't understand why this happened to of all people, this big horrible thing. Was such a good person putting good out into the universe. I don't understand this, because we've seen Meemaw be very like religious and spiritual like throughout the show. So I think that's where she's at. But Ai's just hearing the comparison to her sister. And then on top of this thing she doesn't truly understand, like why it happened to she's like, when wakes up, she's like, I don't think Um's strong enough to handle this, like the aftermath of all of this. Like, that's when like I was like, oh, this sounds like a real confession from Meemaw, because I think she's really worried about being the weak one, and she's like, Um's gonna have to deal with the fact that like her husband's dead and her life just changed, and she has no idea. She's like, she's gonna have to hear that all at once coming out of a coma. How the hell is she gonna handle that? So, which is a fair thing to say, like when all you know about is that she needs more support than Ai does. But like, here's the thing though, Ai is in the room hearing all this stuff about how perfect her sister is, but like she now knows that that is not perfect. Like, she was having an affair with May essentially while she was engaged or married to Paul, and she's like, those were kind of bad actions that like, and bad energy that was putting out in the universe. So like, this bad karmic thing like that happened like isn't super unreasonable when you're thinking about that kind of like energy balance. So I wonder if that's going through Ai's mind, being like, well, wasn't as perfect as she thinks she is. But I don't think I would ever say that out loud to Meemaw, to be like, well, about that. Because it would make her feel worse.
Yeah, and Meemaw would not be happy about that.
But also, we know that Meemaw knew about May, but like, how much did Meemaw know about May? Because I don't think she knew. is still doing this shit.
I need the opposite story to this, like, fully.
Seriously.
Because why does Meemaw know all of this? And then, like, how much does Meemaw know?
Right.
Why doesn't Ai know? Why doesn't Ai know anything?
Ai knows nothing in Pluto. Like, Ai knows absolutely nothing.
She knows that she likes May.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so again, I just like kind of like, instead of voicing that thought, if she's even having it out loud, just kind of like internalizes what Meemaw is saying as more evidence that Meemaw loves and not her. So then when Meemaw says, this horrible thing should never have happened to somebody as good as that's why Ai responds with, it should have happened to a bad person like me, right? And this is just like Ai's insecurity, number one, and her like lack of self-worth, which is so like heartbreaking to watch her like feel that and express it.
I'm really proud of her for having the courage to say this out loud, though, because this has been the biggest thought in her head that's just been festering there, because she hasn't been able to talk about it. And Meemaw is the only one who could make that worry and thought go away. And like, we see her just becoming able to talk about how she's feeling. Like, we saw her just tell May she's blushing. Like, she's starting to learn how to communicate, which is why communication's important. So I love that she actually got this out and she just didn't keep internalizing it.
Yeah, I made a lot of emotional leaps and bounds in this episode, and like that's impact of May giving her a safe space to voice her emotions, which I don't feel like she's had with the exception of like her friends, because that's what Ben was doing, where he's like, hey, when you're with me, you can like, if you want to be mad. She starts screaming in the alley. Like, she needed a safe space in order to do that, and I don't think she feels that with her family because of the way they like ignore her essentially.
Yeah.
All right, so then she says this, and Meemaw's like, okay, if you're gonna joke around, just leave. Because she doesn't take this seriously. She's just like, whatever, Ai, you're just making jokes or whatever. But Ai was serious, which is the sad part of all this, and so she starts crying and just like storms out of the room. Which also like well played, Namtam, because there's one like real strategic tear that went down her cheek before she like angrily wiped it away and left, and like, good job, ma'am, that was excellent acting.
Beautifully heartbreaking.
Yes.
That's this whole scene. Like,
yes.
But she is always joking and using that as a shield, so that's
exactly.
what Meemaw's used to. She doesn't know that it's a shield, but she's just used to sarcastic Ai always coming in and cracking jokes at the worst possible times.
Yep. So then Ai takes her feelings out into the lobby and like goes and sits on the chairs and then like tucks her knees underneath her chin and starts hugging herself, which to me is a signal that Ai feels really low and alone and fucking needs a hug. So she hugs herself, which is like the fucking saddest thing ever.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. So then she's like, okay, this is not helping to cheer me up. So instead she thinks back to her phone date with May. And the memory she conjures is exactly what she needs to hear, to feel loved and supported in the moment where she's sitting in the hospital. Okay, so she like conjures the perfect moment from her time with May. And last night on the phone, May confessed to Ai, "You're the only one I have when there's no one else left, and I want you to feel the same." So that is exactly what Ai needs to hear where she feels alone in the hospital. And I, in that conversation when May was telling her this, had a hard time believing this. Because Ai's, again, you see Ai's lack of self-worth, right? And like willingness to accept people love her because she just doesn't feel it. And she's basically like, this is a really weird thing coming from you, May, and not something I would expect, because this conversation is weird. If I was pretending to be this conversation is weird because they had been dating for a long time, and then for Ai to say this and not know that May knows who she is insane, because this was a pure Ai thing that she's saying, as speaking from somebody who doesn't know May. Like, just think about what she's saying. So she's like, I wouldn't expect you to say something like this, because basically Ai associates May as being like a stiff person because she doesn't know her, okay? And she's like, the reason I say this is because of your house, because May's surrounding give off this really stiff vibe, which is what I've been saying. Like, the minute I saw that house, I'm like, this house like gives off the impression that somebody with money lives here, but there's no personality in this house. And that's what Ai's getting at. She's like, I don't get you, this warm, caring person, from any of your surroundings. And so she's like, to actually get to know you, the princess trapped in the castle, basically, she's like, you're not who I thought you were. And so she's like, I didn't expect you to be this warm and caring person, but like, here you are. And May respond. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just like the stiff comment, it kind of reminded me of like how Meemaw is too, because she just like is stiff and like emotionally, and like Ai's having trouble thinking Meemaw even wants her around. So with May being like outwardly like stiff, I know like it's like her environment too, but she can have her walls up with other people too. With her not being stiff and warm with Ai, it's like she wants that from Meemaw too, and like she's trying to figure out Meemaw through talking with May too. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, but like Ai has seen Meemaw be affectionate with
That's true.
So like she knows that Meemaw is affectionate, but like again, she does. This is just Ai outing herself that she doesn't know May, because why would say this, who's been with May for like, this was a stupid thing to say if she was really pretending to be And if May didn't know she was Ai, like this conversation, not that Ai keeps outing herself, like she's a terrible spy. But this was an honest Ai moment to be like, when I first met you, I wouldn't have thought you'd be this kind, caring person, even though she kissed you immediately, but okay, Anyway, but like, I love that she's basically like, well, you gave off the impression that you were like like a stuck up rich girl, basically, who has no personality. That's basically what Ai says. And then May responds with, well, from the words you're saying, you sounds like you're insulting me. But it quickly cuts to Ai, who opens her mouth to basically like, I think she's gonna like argue, be like, that's not what I meant, like. But she doesn't have to, because May already knows what Ai is saying. She's just like, the words you're saying are insulting, but your voice makes my heart feel warm. Because like what Ai is trying to say is like a sweet thing, but like if you just listen to the words, you're like, you're like insulting May.
That is completely true. Like, to tell, like, oh yeah, your house has no personality in it. It's like, okay, and what do you mean?
Right. But yeah, exactly. But she's actually complimenting May to be like, you're not who I thought you were. Like, you're better. Like, than your impression or whatever. But the key of what May says here is your voice makes me feel warm, right? Not the words you are saying make me happy. She says how you are saying the words make me feel things. That's what May is saying. So this line is really important because it's confirmation to I that she makes May happy. Not not the words she's saying. It's how she's saying it because I is speaking those words truthfully from the heart. And I's confused. She's like, what? And she like makes May repeat it, then processes what May is saying and lets that revelation sink in. So I think that's, again, more like when I jumps off the deep end into I'm going to feel all the things and just be myself around May, like May starts responding back to be like, it's you, it's you. Like that was a big moment to be like, it's you, not And then May continues and she basically was like, well, the way you're saying this makes me feel like I'm listening to a bedtime story. Which, like, the point of that is to, like, lull you to sleep and, like, make you feel warm so you're comfortable so you'll drift off. And so, again, clever writers. So this line is hint number 1 that May is going to be super supportive of I's dream to be a writer. And it is no coincidence that while this part of the conversation is happening, that A Princess's Tale starts playing in the background because that's their fantasy song, like a story. And then I emits really softly that her heart is warm when she's with May. And hydrate for this moment of truth. Hydrate for these idiots because well done, ladies. We got there. I is being fully honest about how May makes her feel. She was clearly not in this conversation because this doesn't make any fucking sense if you're Good job, I. Way to be honest. Love it.
Okay, first of all, anyway, just I in general.
Just I.
But the scene in general where like the whole thing is just beautifully lit.
Oh my god, yes. It's
because
warm.
Yeah, the scene is warm. There's no darkness. I mean, like there's a little bit because lighting, there's dark spots, but it's very evenly lit. And so like there's no darkness because May is her light.
Yes.
Especially in this scene. And she's able to see May even though she isn't actually there. So she is lighting up her world. And I just love that they don't have any darkness in this, even though it's supposed to be night. And I love how evenly they got this shot.
It's really cute. It's honestly everything about this, the writing, the lighting, the acting, obviously. It was all very warm and tender and just like a truthful, emotional moment in a safe space. And I think that's how we get here.
And then we get like this really great transition from that to her sitting in the hospital again, like the flashback's over. Because in that evenly lit shot, she says, "My heart feels warm." And then we cut to her being sad and hugging herself again. And that's when we hear "When I Am With You." And like, she doesn't have her light right now. And it's heartbreaking. There's so much heartbreaking in this show, but
yeah. And like when she's in that scene, when she comes back, like I closes her eyes and hugs herself even tighter. So like, again, she's feeling that warmth from May, but she doesn't have it with her. She's sad about her family and just like feels more alone. And again, she's always like, I'm leaving this person that cares about me to come into these situations with my family and they keep kicking me to the curb. It is very sad.
It's so sad. But a great transition to show like how much she is alone.
I think the other part too is why she like hugs herself tighter is like she feels alone. But I think that like she wants to hug May right now. And like, which like, let's be real, that's what she wanted last night. She needed a fucking hug. Like always.
Just hug Ai. Oh,
Just hug
someone needs
Ai.
to always be hugging Ai.
Yes. So, okay, so while Ai's in her feels, Meemaw comes out of Oom's room and sits down next to her and then tries the omelet. And they refuse to like look at each other directly because they're both awkward, okay? Because they're the same person. And I think that Ai is like excited that Meemaw emerged and has the omelet, is gonna try it, but I think she's like trying not to get her hopes up. And if you watch Meemaw go to eat the omelet, she hesitates a lot. Almost like, is it poisoned? Is it gonna be terrible? She can't cook.
I saw this as like she doesn't really want to be taking care of herself. She also doesn't like the fact that I had to make her food. But she doesn't want to be like out here eating when her granddaughter is literally laying in a hospital bed. Like it's the guilt of leaving It's the guilt of I having to make food for her, and then also having to worry about herself right now.
Yeah, she feels like a failure as the caregiver. Yeah, 100,000,000%. But Meemaw does try it and then tells Ai it's really good. And Ai smiles. She doesn't look at Meemaw. She just like smiles. She's like, I did it. I did a good thing. But Meemaw, okay, she's yelling at Ai for like, don't be sarcastic, Ai. And then Meemaw does it right back. Like that is their bantering with each other. And she's like, wow, I'm surprised you even know how to cook. Which is kind of sad because they live in the same house. So like, if she doesn't know Ai can cook, it means they also don't know each other very well. And Ai is like, well, you know, I just like imitate what I see and then like do it myself. Which is an admission that like nobody sits down to teach her stuff. Like this is the mark of Ai's brand of intelligence where she has the curiosity to like figure things out for herself by just observing. And then if she's interested, she'll go try it. And I think this is a trait that makes Ai a really good caretaker because we start seeing with like, here in this moment with Meemaw, she's like, I know Meemaw didn't do any of these things, so I'm gonna do it, and I have to push her to get her to do it. And she's successful. And then later with May, we'll start seeing that she really learns how to be a caretaker for somebody who's blind, where she's like, I brought the candles with you when we travel because I know that helps you navigate. And like, I did all these things that you didn't ask me to do because I've observed these things and how they help you. And that's the type of intelligence that Ai has that I think is one of her big strengths that she doesn't see as a strength.
No, because she can't really see her strengths.
Yeah. She don't got self-esteem right now.
No. She's so relatable.
Yeah. Then these two, Meemaw and Ai, have what I hoped was a bonding moment where they talked about how the two of them put other people first. And the irony that their relationship is so strained when they put other people first because these two are so similar that like they can't see that they're, to me, Ai and are like actual twins, but these two are like emotional personality twins.
Yeah. And Ai like literally verbalizes and acknowledges that they are alike.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
They both don't like they'll both go hungry to care for other people. And they both cope the same way as well.
Yes.
Because Ai copes with humor on the outside.
Yep.
And that's a way of putting walls up. But Meemaw puts her walls up by just being stone. And that's why I called her stiff earlier too. Because like you can't get through it. And so it's just the same way. Although it's like different types of walls. It's still you're not getting to the actual person underneath. And Ai does see this here. And I think she's just happy that Meemaw is listening to her in this moment by eating this omelet because it shows that Meemaw is hearing Ai and caring about what she says. It's such a small thing, but she's like, I got her eating. That's a victory for me right now.
Yeah. And she called the omelet good, which is a praise of Ai's skill, right? So they have this small victory and small bonding moment. And then Meemaw she breaks down, right? Because this is a lot for her. She hasn't slept. We understand. So Ai grabs her arm and is like, what's wrong? And then Meemaw says, don't ever say bad things like this should happen to you. And I apologize. And she's like, I'm sorry. Because like I was like, just like, shit, I didn't think that was going to affect you because you don't ever seem to give a shit about me. And then Meemaw wraps her in a hug, which is the thing I has wanted the whole fucking time. And it's like, finally, Ai's getting a hug for her and reassurance, and her family loves and cares about her. It's like, finally, it took us 800 years to get here.
I have a lot to say about this part because it's just, this whole scene is heartbreaking and beautiful, but then painstakingly heartbreaking, and like there's so much going on because this feels like a turning point in their relationship with the way they're able to talk to each other, because I think this is the first time they're like truly open with each other, and especially when it's just them alone. Like Oom's not there. Yeah, she's the shadow. It's the shadow of Oom. She's there. We will get there. But I saying that it should have been her, or like assuming that that's what Meemaw meant, that impacted Meemaw. And I feel like Meemaw probably started imagining losing both of them. And that was just too much at that point. Like, because these girls are Meemaw's life. Without them, I don't think that Meemaw knows who she is, because she was probably getting to the point in life where she could finally focus on herself. But that's when she lost one of her kids and had to gain custody of the girls. And she had to start all over again. So her life has always been caring for someone else. So, of course, she's not going to put herself first. And then she actually pulls Ai into a hug, which, I mean, obviously is going to make Ai so happy because she's finally getting the affection that she's wanted for years. But then Meemaw had to go and spoil it all.
Yeah, so like, okay, to be Ai in this moment. So then like the camera cuts between Meemaw in the hug, just like being in her feels, and then it cuts to Ai, and Ai starts smiling in the hug because, again, finally she got a hug that's for her. But then Meemaw starts wailing about and Ai looks crushed once that word is uttered, and it's like, and I think she has like the saddest thought in the entire world that she 100% wrote in her journal, which is that sometimes I think being a replacement isn't so bad. At least the one with the broken heart is you and not someone you love. And again, here's Ai getting affection. She thinks and feels this for her, but it's not. It's always overshadowed by And really, this line that she says and probably wrote in the journal really speaks to who Ai is and how she loves. Her love is sacrifice, and that's the type of theme that shows up especially with female characters or female coded characters, and it shows up a lot in Thai girl love dramas where you have one character whose form of love is this sacrifice. That's Ai, and she's basically being like, well, even though I'm crushed, like they're not, and to me that's more important. That's her value of like, or her form of love is like making the other people feel loved while sacrificing herself, basically.
And we see that multiple times. All right. Unless you have anything else about that scene, I think we are pausing here to give some shout outs to our Chaos crew on Patreon.
All right. Woo!
Woo! All right. As always, we love and appreciate all of you wherever you are supporting us from. And now let's get into our shout-outs. There's never a good transition for this. Our Chaos Crew members on the Big A Ride or Die tier and above are Dana W, Moving Forward Leading, Amix Monzone _ Multi, Natalia, Danny, Cassie M, Michelle G, Wirjabuchin, Here For It, Jill L, Regina B, Jasmine O, and Nancy D. And our featured Big A supporter members for this episode are 3CHO, Kareen M, and Christina W. Woo! Thank you all so much. We seriously appreciate each and every one of you, whether you're on Patreon or you're watching on YouTube, listening on all the audio platforms. You mean the world to us, and we see you. We also especially see you when you comment on videos, and because you can comment on Spotify too now.
You definitely can.
Leave reviews. When you're in our Discord, messaging us. When you're on Patreon, we see all your messages and your comments, and we send them to each other too, because some of them are just ridiculously funny, and we love it. So go do all the things, but definitely join our Discord too, because that's the easiest way to come connect with us without having to spend any money on Patreon. But that's also a great time because you get all of our content ad-free, early access, at least 24 hours usually, and full-length reaction videos. If you're on upper tiers, you get ridiculous episodes of us doing whatever you want, whatever we want. So you get to see the murder board that we made in the background here. That took an hour and a half.
That's the Pluto murder board.
Yep, Pluto murder board. Who knows what?
When? And why? It was fun. Check that out. Also, thank you to Patreon. They're the one they get to vote on content. They're the reason we're here talking about Pluto in depth, because they wanted this show to be the next big deep dive. So thank you to them, but also not thank you, because we asked them to vote on what we're going to react to next, and everybody split the vote between everything, and so that was not helpful. And then they're like, here's other shows. So honestly, sometimes you guys are not helpful, but
no, it's literally evenly split.
I know, it's amazing.
It was ridiculous.
Just go on our Patreon and look at the page and you'll see it.
We had
funny.
Over 90 votes and it was split.
You guys are the worst.
How did you do that?
Well,
I feel like you're just playing with it. Yes, no, we love you so much, and sometimes we try to give you some surprises too along the way.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. And hope you're enjoying these Pluto discussions. And thank you for your patience with not releasing all of these in order. Sometimes we have to split it with other episodes just because of life. So thank you for that.
All right. So back to Pluto. I and Meemaw are visiting the shrine, and Meemaw informs Ai that she has to bring offerings every day until recovers. And Ai's like, aren't you coming anymore? What are you doing? And Meemaw says she is, but someone has to pay the bills. And she needs to cook for Ai. She's got a lot going on. She's got to run the store. And this is a big thing because she is continuing to show her affection for Ai by saying she has to cook for her. So someone has to.
That's true, but also what's happening here is this is Meemaw, this whole thing of you take over shrine duty, I will take over household duties. This is Meemaw conceding to what I said in the hospital, which is, let me take care of you while you take care of yourself. So Meemaw listened to Ai and took her advice to allow Ai to share the burden of taking care of and everything else, versus Meemaw just trying to do it single-handedly to spare Ai. So it shows us that Meemaw does respect Ai's opinions, and that Meemaw is somebody capable of changing her mind. So she's not as stubborn as I imagined. Yes, she's stubborn, but not stubborn to the point of where she will never change her mind.
Yeah, she's capable of growth.
Exactly.
And Ai, being the person who doesn't want to be a burden on anyone, tells Meemaw that she can handle cooking for herself. And we get this hilarious exchange between the two of them, and I love this scene so much. This might be one of my favorite scenes now. Because this is the exchange. Meemaw goes, "You mean cooking?" And Ai says, "No, I meant bringing food to offer." Meemaw's response, "I figured as much." And oh god, I love it. And
it's so
facial expressions too, because the part of this that's really nice to see is just Ai being playful with Meemaw. This isn't humor to put up walls. This is just her being herself, and it's a comforting playfulness rather than a defensive one.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually see her being cheeky with Meemaw and actually laughing. This is genuine laughing with her. I mean, Meemaw still looks like she's
annoyed.
Yeah, but she's not. And you can even see a softness in her body language as well. And Meemaw then tells Ai that she's going to be heading back home soon. And Ai was like, "I'll take you home." And throughout this, Ai tells Meemaw that might be worried if Ai doesn't take her home. Because, like, of course, gonna know. She's not in a coma or anything.
No.
But this is her excuse. This is just an excuse for her because really she's the one that's worried about her, and she's not really good at hiding anything. She's not a great spy.
She's a terrible spy.
And Meemaw knows this and says thanks. Well, actually smiling. We do get a Meemaw smile. She doesn't smile much, but we know she really means it when she does it. And Ai doesn't see this. But Ai then looks at Meemaw for a few seconds and smiles at her. And it's just like these secret smiles from the two of them, just going back and forth. And this is the moment, like, we really see the relationship is healing. And this is something that I'm sure that both of them have been wanting for a while, because Meemaw does have a relationship with but there's probably a part of her that always felt disconnected to Ai because of that disconnection between them. Like, they are similar. She doesn't have to worry. So she doesn't have that much connection with Ai at this point. She doesn't actually know who she is.
Yeah, nobody in this family actually knows each other is like the big ultimate irony and where all the conflict stems from. The sad part is they're like, to your point, they're healing and happy, but like nobody catches the other one smiling. Like, again, they're personality twins. I'm saying, like, this is more evidence.
They're at the point where they won't let each other catch them.
Yeah, it's like, cute though.
It's progress.
It definitely is.
And this whole scene is just them being open about how they have to take care of each other and appreciating the thought that each other has for them. It's like they're reciprocating. They're like, oh, I see that you're thinking of me, but I also want to take care of you.
There's like a compromise here happening between the two of them. So what I thought was really interesting was that when Ai offers to drive Meemaw home, Meemaw looks at Ai, and the way she looks at Ai is really interesting. It's almost like Meemaw is seeing Ai as an adult and not a little kid. And maybe that's the difference between Ai and where Meemaw sees as more of a kid that needs her protection, but Ai is like an adult. She's more independent in certain aspects. So the other part about the scene is that this is Meemaw acknowledging Ai as a capable grown-up and not some helpless child that needs her constant care, which is the opposite of the way she seems to see And the other part I love about the scene is when Meemaw asks Ai if she's, because like Meemaw's like, Ai's like, oh yeah, I'll take you. And then Meemaw's like, don't you have a life? Aren't you gonna like go out and do stuff? And Ai responds, I can't leave you. So again, this is just Ai being the dedicated caregiver yet again. Even if she did have plans, which she probably might have plans with May, who knows? Like, even if she did have them, I would absolutely ditch whatever those plans are to be there for Meemaw. Because acts of service are 100% Ai's love language. Like, she's an acts of service person. She's going to show you that she cares about you in a very personal way. Not just like doing stuff to do stuff. It's tailored to the person she's trying to take care of.
Because she sees them. She gets to know exactly what each person needs.
Yeah, she observes, she processes, she learns, same way she made the omelet. And speaking of which, after this moment with Meemaw, she gets a text from May, and May's like, oh, how'd the omelet work out? Which confirmed my suspicion that, like, May and I were in cahoots this morning when she was making this omelet for Meemaw, because, like, May asked about it. She's like, how'd it go? Which is really cute. Like, their, like, connection is still there, even from, like, last night when they hung up the phones, which is really cute. So their date is still going. It's just more texting now.
I do kind of wish we got a scene of them talking about, and I just being like, do you have any tips for this omelet? And then I want to see her, like, burning the first one, and I don't know. I feel like that whole thing would have been really cute.
I agree.
And very funny.
Yes.
So later that night, Ai sneaks into Meemaw's room, and when you look at her in the doorway and just like slowly coming into the room, she just looks like a little child sneaking into their parents' room in the middle of the night. And especially like with what you said earlier, Theora, like was more like a child who needed more comfort and more guidance from Meemaw. Like this is Ai kind of being a child, not that she needs it, but like she does need that affection, so she is going back to that childlike state. And but she is still that person who wants to take care of who she loves. So she takes the blanket on Meemaw and covers her up more. I assume it was a little chilly, because if it was really hot, then that would have just made things worse. But anyway, that's not relevant. And eventually she does move to lay next to Meemaw and cuddle with her. Like this scene is very cute. Again, still heartbreaking, just in general. And this is Ai showing how much Meemaw means to her, especially when she squeezes her shoulder. Like that squeeze said so much without actually words being spoken. Like this whole scene says so much and no words are ever spoken. And it's like all the progress and communication they had released recently has made her so happy that I can't sleep, because this is in the middle of the night. And she wants to show Meemaw how much she means to her. But again, they're not in a place where they can really do that. They don't know how to do that in the daylight, face to face. And this is also her getting closer to what she wanted and what had, which we saw during the flashback of asking to sleep in Meemaw's bed. Because there's little like, oh, I never get to do that. She never probably thought to even ask to sleep in her bed because she didn't need to.
Yeah, to me, this whole scene is Ai's Pluto moment, where she's always there for her family, but no one sees her. Because Meemaw allegedly is asleep and has no idea Ai is doing any of this. Ai's just doing it because she cares. And I wonder how many times in her life has Ai tucked in Meemaw, or maybe while they're asleep? And how many times has this act of service from her gone unnoticed? Because to me, this seemed really practiced, the way she snuck into the room. It was almost like she's done this before, right? She was like really silent, closed the door the right way. Like, I imagine she's done this many times. And like Meemaw, if she's anything like Ai, doesn't fully take care of herself. So like Ai has to go in and then like take care of Meemaw and like do things like shut the window, open the window, cover her up, like that kind of stuff. The hug at the end was just for Ai, but like, and a little bit for Meemaw. But I think everything else, is Ai taking care of Meemaw when nobody else takes care of Meemaw, because she's like looking after young girls, right? And then I wonder, like, when she comes in and hugs Meemaw, like, was this the only way I could feel close to her family, was just by like doing these unacknowledged acts of service for them in the shadows, you know?
Yeah. But it's so sad.
It
that
is.
She has to like move around in the night to show affection at all. But
yeah, like a little creeper. It's so sad. It's really heartbreaking the way Ai like is Pluto. Like this is a Pluto moment. Like nobody sees her doing these things, but that doesn't stop her from doing them, which says a lot about Ai.
Yeah,
and her character.
I don't think she ever got in bed with Meemaw, because I think she would have been too scared of like waking her up, and she would never just like take affection that wasn't there. Like she didn't feel like the affection was there for her. But
it wasn't offered. It's like
yes.
She's stealing these moments of affection to give it to her family, but then also they're like, it's obviously for herself too, which is why she goes in and like hugs her. That was for Ai.
Yeah, but it's also like for her to show her affection to Meemaw. She just hasn't. They're not in a place where she can do it again when Meemaw's awake, or so she thinks.
Well, we'll get there. She will do it in the next scene.
Yeah.
Did you say this part?
Yeah, I did. A little earlier.
All right. So one thing I love about this scene, and I noticed, is that, okay, so when Ai lays down and hugs Meemaw and squeezes her arm, and then she moves away to like get out of the room. She like does this awkward thing with her hand when she like lets go, and it's like the touching the hot stove thing where she like makes little claws with her hands, and it's really awkward. And it reminded me of when she was first getting in bed with May, was gonna go cuddle her, and she did that really awkward thing where she like does that weird hand motion and hesitates. So it seemed like the same movement. So I wonder if this is like a reflection of how Ai feels, where Ai is forcing herself to be really careful and not too affectionate as to not disturb the other person. Because here she obviously wants to just like cuddle her grandmother, and like she obviously wanted to cuddle May, but like she's like, I don't know if the other person wants that. So she was like really hesitant and awkward about it. So I wonder if this is a conscious thing Ai is doing, or if this is something unconscious. And Ai is awkward because she has so little experience with emotionally driven physical contact that she's awkward when she does it because she never has the opportunity to do it. Both of those options are both sad, but it could be both too.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both of them. Because, again, it's just, I don't know, there's emotional trauma here. There's a lot of emotional trauma. So it's like not knowing how the other person's going to react and not knowing what to do. Everything you said would.
And it's also like it's Ai, again, once again, fighting what she wants to do and then sacrificing what she wants, which is to just dive into the affection for the other person, is the bottom line too, regardless of whether this is conscious or unconscious behavior from Ai.
Again, every scene is so heartbreaking between these two.
I know.
But it's like heartbreakingly beautiful too, because we end the scene with Meemaw opening her eyes as soon as Ai leaves. And like that's showing that Meemaw's also not able to verbalize her love for Ai. But like she did show her love by not pushing Ai away in this moment, because she was awake. She could have been like, what are you doing?
Right.
But no, she took the affection. And by accepting that affection, she is giving it to Ai because that meant I was able to give it to her, if that makes sense.
It does. And like, again, because they're similar, is this also, did Meemaw sit there and be still because she, like Ai, is not used to having emotional physical contact with people other than like her being in the position of let me hug the little child and give the affection. She's receiving it, and maybe she's so out of practice the way Ai is that she's like, I don't know how to behave in this moment, I'm just gonna lay here. Also coming from Ai, where like their relationship we know is estranged, so like are they both awkward for the same reason is what I'm getting at?
I think they are.
I do too.
She definitely has not received the affection. She's always been the one burdened, because like she made herself burdened, not wanting to burden others.
She was burdened when she received sole custody of his kids.
Yes,
like she had a life before this, and we don't know what that was like. We don't know what her emotional intimacy with people was like, her emotional, like what her marriage situation was like. But like from the point she became guardian of these kids, her life completely changed. And we're like 20 plus years later. So that's what I mean. I feel, and she's not with anybody that we know of. So I feel like she's out of practice of being emotionally intimate and like having physical contact like this. So maybe she's just awkward about it.
She's adorably awkward Meemaw.
Because they're twins in a way. They're personality twins.
You're right. You are incredibly right. They're too much twin-like.
I know. Well, then there's the thing that like this could be Ai's life if she continues down the path that she's going. And I think that's what freaks Meemaw out so much about Ai, because she's like, I see you becoming me and I want you to be better than me. I think that's the other thing why she like
that's also really
has an
sad.
estranged relationship with Ai, because she's like, shit, we are similar. I want you to be better the way Uma's better.
Theora, you're the one who just made that sadder.
Well, it like comes up later in the show, but like I think that's also going on in Meemaw's mind when it comes why she worries about Ai in a different way.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the big thing going on.
The question is, who does take after? We don't know anything about her parents, GMMTV.
Yeah, seriously, you didn't even give us a backstory for them.
Right. Who does she take after?
You could have at least given it, like, slight backstory, man.
Dad didn't even have a single line. He was so unimportant to you, GMMTV. Anyway.
Mom just got to read a book. That's it.
Mom read a book. That was it.
That's all we needed.
That's all we know.
Takes after the milkman.
Anyway. Yep, they're identical twins.
Speaking of reading,
yes,
Ai is then reading from her journal in the next scene. And it's the part where she wrote, I don't know how to say it. Meto-Ai was a charming and mysterious girl, so it wasn't surprising that someone weak-minded like Abum, which I stole that line, fell head over heels for her. But I couldn't fully condemn because what I was doing now wasn't any better. And then she crosses out the part, I had been deceiving May, and I couldn't keep doing it anymore. Which, wow, what a statement. Like, this speaks volumes, because she is now admitting to herself that she's going to keep deceiving May. Because she tried a couple times. She did try in the beginning. That quickly fell apart. But you could still see how guilty she does look about this. Because, like, she doesn't want to be deceiving May. She's just now being realistic that she's going to keep going. And because she's just scared of losing the one source of happiness and the affection that she gets with May. I mean, yeah, we're starting to heal our relationship with Meemaw, but May is the light and the warmth. And she's so scared of losing that, which is valid. It just sucks that we have to be somebody else we have to be the shadow of to get that.
Listen. Okay, so, like, all right. So remember, this is all one big giant day. So, like, when did I write this in her journal? She wrote this in the journal before the bug incident, right? Where she had the conversation with, this is all the same day. Or actually, this is the next day. This was 24 hours ago. She wrote this down because Pang came and saw her and she's like, girl, you gotta tell her the truth. And Ai's like, I know that. And then when she wrote this down as her, like, resolution of, like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna come clean. I don't want to hurt May. Air quotes, May. And then the bug incident happened. She goes to deal with the bug. And then when they were in the room, she was like, hey, May, I gotta tell you something. And May's like, let me talk first. And then tries to turn it into sexcapades and derails the whole thing. Because, like, I was gonna tell her, but then May's like, me first. Because May's afraid of losing Ai. So the irony is because they're afraid of losing each other, they keep concealing the truth. And then Ai, from that point onward, we watched her battle with this decision that she made to tell May the truth. But here, when she crosses this out, she's taking her own advice that she gave Meemaw, which is take care of yourself. Stop sacrificing yourself. Like, you have to take care of yourself. So Ai is making this conscious choice, even though it's not, like, quote, a good decision. She's making this conscious choice to put herself above everybody else, which includes May in this context. Like, you can argue, yes, May is happy when she's with Ai, and May wants Ai, and she'll continue the ruse however long that is to just have Ai, but Ai doesn't know May knows this. But honestly, the happiness they have and the relationship they're forming is shadowed by the lie that Ai is and that Ai is now going to be like, I'm going to continue to be because May is my safe space and I don't want to lose her. And to put this back into, like, the spiritual context of things, as we'll come to see, Ai's selfish actions tend to put out negative energy into the universe that inevitably come back to haunt her, like her burning the book when they were kids. And now this decision right here to be like, I'm going to deceive May, it comes back to haunt her in a horrible way when we get to episode 11. And I think that on some level, Ai has thought of this and knows it, but the fact that she's like, I'm going to do it, speaks to how badly she wants May's love, which is your point.
There is so much going on in this story, which is why we're here, talking for it about hours on hours. But we're gonna just keep deceiving May right now.
It's just so sad that Ai is so desperate for love that she's willing to go through these types of lengths just to get it. That's really sad. That's how, like, love-starved she is. Because Ai is not, like, a, quote, bad person. She's just making this conscious decision because she's so desperate to keep this thing, the best thing in her life, that she's coming to realize that she has. And it's not even fully hers, which is the shitty, or at least she thinks it isn't. That's the really shitty part that I knows on some level that it's not hers. But she's like, I have the feeling I'm just going to keep it because I never get it. It's so sad.
It's like the question, like, how far will you go to get what you want?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we see how it went in Friendly Rivalry. Glad it doesn't get that bad over here, but she's willing to be unlike herself, because this isn't like herself.
No, exactly.
Someone just hug her. Anyway.
Right, just hug Ai.
So the next morning, Ai wakes up with an emotional hangover because the last 2 days were a lot. And a customer is talking to Meemaw in the shop. And Ai complains that it's noisy. And then she realizes that there is a reason why it's noisy and runs out of bed to Meemaw. So, again, Meemaw and Ai are just so much alike because Ai comes running yelling grandma. And Meemaw's response is just to say, yeah, it's me. Why are you so loud? So, like, mornings and loudness, like, just loud in general. Why? Anyway, so Meemaw then tells Ai to take the offerings to the shrine and then goes back to the customer to tell them they're back in business, stop by again, and life's been going back to normal.
Yeah, I think the key is that, like, when I was waking up in the morning and hearing the conversation that this customer was having with Meemaw, she overhears the line, "You've been closed for a few days." So this was, again, Meemaw taking her advice to be like, you need to take care of you. And part of that is paying bills, like she said at the shrine. So she has to, like, open the shop again. So I love that when we come in to the scene as Ai, and we have Meemaw and the customer, Ai is standing there in the background just, like, beaming, because, like, things are back to normal. Yeah, still in the coma, but, like, at least this part of their life is getting back to the way it was. Like, Meemaw's bossing her around again and being sarcastic and stuff like that. So it's like, grandma is better. Like, that's a huge thing for Ai. And she's like, yay, I helped my grandma. Like, that's great.
And makes her feel worth it. Like, gives her a sense of self-worth because she's able to help somebody that she loves. And this makes Ai run and attack Meemaw in a hug. So she may not get the hug, but she's going to give out the hugs. And she gives Meemaw a kiss on the cheek and then the head. And Meemaw does love it. Although she does eye up Ai out of the corner of her eye.
She gets side-eye.
Sorry. That was a lot of eye in the
all good eyes.
Because, you know, she can't show that she, like, fully loves it. Like, she still has to play it off because that's just who she is. But she loves it, and she loves the affection. Like, she doesn't know how to accept it. So she just tells Ai to take the offerings again. Like, let's move on. But thank you. That was silently in her head. She's saying thank you.
I think that Meemaw's a little shy that Ai is so happy that she took her advice, basically. So by, like, opening the shop, she's, like, acknowledging that I was right, you know? And so I think maybe she's a little embarrassed about that. Also, it's PDA, and there's customers about, so, like, it seems like she's being awkward there, too. And it's a really cute scene, and this is Ai, like, again, being emotionally, like, physically affectionate with Meemaw. Like, you know, she wanted to be in the other scene where Meemaw was asleep, but here she's just, like, doing it. So it's not that they can't be physically intimate with each other, or you know, affectionate, rather, physically affectionate. They can be, it's just, like, it's rare. So everybody gets awkward when it happens.
Yeah.
But I do have one bone to pick with GMMTV when it comes to this scene. So we're in a shop, right? And then when we pan back, we get, after Ai's like, I'm gonna go brush my teeth and I'll see you later. We pan back, we have Meemaw at the front counter, okay? And in the counter, it's see-through, so you can see the items in there. And because of money reasons, all the products are faced away, so you can't see what they are, including noodles. GMMTV, why did you not put the noodles you were trying to sell in the display, and you could have faced them out? Like, this was a perfect product placement scene that could have been real, like, natural. The man who came in could have been buying the noodles. Like, what were we doing?
I wonder if some sponsors just came later and they added things later to do that, but sometimes they're not too great at the natural product placement.
I know.
They're great at adding pre-made scenes for product placement, but the natural ones we struggle a bit with.
In this show we did. We struggled. Yeah. This was a get your noodles sponsored earlier and then you can get them in the shop. That could have been a scene.
Us was more natural.
Us was trying to sell us watermelon at one point. I was real confused. I'm like, I gotta go buy watermelon now because of this scene.
We will buy anything.
Anything.
Whatever you want, we'll buy it for you.
Just saying, have more characters in shops where they're selling shit that you want us to buy. Just throwing that out there.
Seriously. Okay, so Ai goes to pack up the offerings and she just has this little smile and it's just so nice to see.
It's cute.
Since like she's spent a good amount of this episode upset. We've seen a lot of sad Ai. And now we finally get smiley Ai. However, the good times stop here. Because she calls May to all happy to tell her that she'll see her soon. And is met with this big commotion going on in the background. Which is May's father. And he's being an asshole. Because of course he is. Because that's who he is.
Yeah, that's his baseline.
And May tells not to come. Because it's not Ai.
It's always
It's always At least in shadow form. Because she doesn't want Ai having to interact with her father, let alone meet him. Because, like, first of all, like, meeting's a big thing, but, like, having to interact with him willingly, like, just stay away. You don't want to be here right now. And then the dad says, I have every right to interfere with your life. And, like, that's all Ai needs to hear to get on the bike and go make a beeline to May's house. Like, drop everything else, go there.
The other thing about this, too, and I think May's other motivation to be like, do not come over here, I/, is because what's the dad's response? He's like, is that her? So that's our clue that the dad knows about And May is also trying to keep away from her dad. Because you hear him yelling, and he's like, I'm going to interfere with your life. So there's a clue here that he's interfering with her love life also. And so she's trying to keep, quote, away. So this rose my suspicion of being like, oh shit, he knows about And then Ai's going to show up, who's obviously not to anybody who has eyes. And like, is that going to fuck up shit more when not shows up, you know? How much does dad know about
Yeah, does he know or did he just find out about it today? Because it seems like he's upset, like recently upset about it. Because like, is that her?
Oh, in the show, he's known about for a while. Like he went after at one point.
Thank you for that reminder.
So, but we don't know that yet in the show. Okay, but this is a clue he knows about So, and yet another reason to be like, do not fucking come over here.
Yes.
But Ai doesn't listen. Ai's like, danger, May, danger.
She's in danger. Must save. So Ai arrives at May's. But I love that we do take the time to see all the details of her stopping the bike, taking off the gloves, helmet, and then running to May.
But notice in this scene, it's fast. It's very fast because Ai's in a rush. But again, this is female gaze shit. The undressing scene was very fast and not in slow motion, but her putting the clothes on was in slow motion. So like the female gaze strikes again when it comes to Ai and her motorcycle attire. I love that.
I love all the motorcycle attire scenes because they always kill it.
Yes, Nam Tam on motorcycles. The visual is fantastic. But I also love the way, again, Ai just like runs into the house with zero context of what's going on. Her only instinct is like, May's in danger. I don't care what she said. I'm going to run into this house and save the princess. No context. She just runs in again and is like, oh.
It's like, I wonder. No, she doesn't even think, I wonder what's happening.
No, she runs. No thoughts.
She's gonna like, she could end up running into a literal fire by accident because May's near it.
Right. She just does not think.
But we are met with May's father still yelling at her, which means this has been going on for a while because I was able to get on a bike and literally drive there and still having...
Caitlin, she had to get dressed. So that happened in slow motion. So she had to put her motorcycle gear on in slow motion, then drive over there, then take off the gear, get into the... This took a long time, is what I'm saying.
And he's still yelling at her.
He's still yelling. Okay, and then when I gets there, like, she runs into the house, and then we get the scene that you're describing, and then it cuts to, like, an aerial shot inside the room that May and her mom and dad are both there, and Ai's, like, in the doorway. And we can see from this shot immediately that there's, like, shit all over the floor. So it shows that, like, the dad not only has been yelling at her, but he's been, like, destroying May's stuff. So he's having this, like, mantrum, essentially, in her house. And this has been going on for a while. He's been yelling and destroying stuff for a while in her house.
Mm-hmm. I thought this shot was a little later, but...
No, this is immediately after. Because he's going to destroy more things.
Okay, but he says, can't you be a good daughter like other people's daughters? Which... translation is, can't you do whatever I say without question, like a little pet, instead of being a human with their own thoughts and feelings? Because those people are bad, especially when they're children.
Yeah, so right off the bat, May's dad is super controlling. And after he says this, it cuts to Ai. And judging by the look on her face, like, she's fighting her instinct to jump in and defend May, because that's what she did with Ton, right? Ton was, like, yelling at her, and she comes in and, like, attacks him. She's like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? But she doesn't do that here, because it would be really impolite and, like, against all of her manners to step in the middle of what's clearly a family matter between May and her dad. So, like, poor Ai, who's, like, watching this, but she's helpless because she can't do anything. She just has to watch this. And no one knows she's here yet. She's just, like,
and she knows her place. Like, she's not going to just come in swinging. I mean, she does, but, like, she also knows when to hold back. And because she's also observing just everything going on, trying to figure out what she even walked into. Because, again, she doesn't know. And May's face is just stone while her father is speaking. And it could be that, like, she's not letting what he says get to her. Or it could be, like, a couple other things. Like, it's that this is a defense mechanism. Like, she's built since a child, where she's having a lot of anxiety and fear. Like, even if she's not, like, fully scared anymore, it's just, you go back to being a child. And, like, she just shuts down and knows that if she shows any of that, like, any emotion towards it, it'll make things worse. Or she's just going into job mode and she put her lawyer face on so she doesn't give the opposition any ammo. Because, again, if she gives anything away on her face, her father will catch it and immediately use that against her. Because conversations with her father are basically just cases to argue. Because...
yeah.
I mean, I don't even know how you argue with him because he's just not given anything. But she is an adult now and capable of speaking for herself. So she asked him if he has thought about if he is a good father like some other fathers. Ooh. And this strikes a nerve because this makes him throw everything from the table onto the floor. And because Theor was right. He has been throwing things for a while now.
The rest of it.
Yes. So, like, everything is just off the table. And it's showing that he has anger issues, and is another reason why I think May could have the trauma response of shutting down and trying not to make things worse, because this has been, I mean, I don't believe it's confirmed, but, like, if this is what he does in every argument, and he's always arguing with her, like, if things are flying around you, especially when she's blind, she doesn't even know where things are. Like, that's terrifying. Like, a part of you is going to be scared.
Yeah, he's violent. That's the other thing it's showing. It's not just that he's yelling, he's violent.
And unstable. And I do love, like, we get the wide shot again after he throws it on the ground, and it's kind of like we are given, like, an outsider's point of view to see how ridiculous he is being in general, because, like, if you were just passing by and seeing this is what you would see. Just this man throwing things on the floor and not willing to listen to anything.
Yeah, literally nothing, because like when he does this, when he does the like gets the rest of the stuff off the table and throws it to the floor, like her mom grabs his arm, like she's trying to stop him, and he immediately shakes her off. So it shows you that like in the family dynamic, he has all the power and he literally doesn't listen to anybody, even his like spouse.
He values himself over everyone else. No one else has any say.
Right.
So again, it's like the arguing, like a case to argue where one side is not being open at all.
Right. It would be like talking to a brick wall as this guy. Yeah.
And basically, he is upset because he doesn't want his daughter to be blind, and he came to try and force her to get treatment. So like that's been this whole thing, the entire show. What we know is like they're trying to get her to not be blind or figure out ways to, I guess, make things better in their mind. And to her credit, her mother does try to intervene and tell him to let May make her own decisions. But she's a woman, and women should be seen and not heard in this patriarchal society. I mean, in any patriarchal society, that's...
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But again, this is another way of him showing that he's dominant over her, because the man should be... I mean, that's just... We see this constantly in the shows. And
well, just in life, because like this is one of those families where they're wealthy, obviously, hence May's mansion, right? They have a ton of money. And so like in the society that they're in, we've seen this with Gap, we've seen this with blank. It's like when people are in the upper echelons of society, there's rules that they have to abide by, where they have to be seen as perfect. Hence the whole thing with Paul. His family was wealthy, right? And they're like, nobody can know he was drunk driving, because that would shame our high-profile family. May also comes from a high-profile family. So when he's in there being like, you can't be blind, that reflects poorly on our wealthy family, like that you're imperfect. So that's the whole argument. The argument is about their status. It's not really about May's well-being. It's about how it reflects on him and the family name. That's what this whole shit is about. So May's just, like, to your point, is a thing to prop up. It's like one of those family dynamics where it's not like, I love you the way Ai's family is, because Ai's not wealthy, so that's not a concern at all. They're just getting by. And so Meemaw loves the kids, right? And shows them that in her way. Whereas in May's family, it's more like dad's head of household in the hierarchy. May is an extension of him. Therefore, whatever she does reflects on him and the family name. And that's their family dynamic. So it's like rich girl versus poor girl family dynamics is what we're seeing play out here.
That's a good point. Good point. Okay, but May doesn't back down. Like, she knows how to handle herself. That's why she's a lawyer. She's a damn good lawyer. And she's about to walk forward to confront her dad some more. But luckily, she does this in like slow motion. Like, so Ai's able to stop her because she's about to step on something like broken glass again.
Yeah, it's broken glass.
That whole thing. So this is when May realizes, actually Ai is here. And the mastermind is still able to say instead of I. And I will just constantly be amazed by this, because again, this is another high pressure situation where her walls are up because of the father being here. And she still freaking says I don't get
her
it.
commitment to the bit is award winning. Like,
has she fully convinced herself that this is right now?
Like, I mean, she's like as committed as like an improv actor to like the bit. Like, she's so committed.
Like, it's internalized.
It's insane.
Because this has to be secondhand natural for her to have to say instead
all
of
the time.
I, even though
she knows it's
I's been in her head.
Right.
So like, I'm like, is she translating it to in her head even when she thinks about her?
I guess, which is fucked up and confusing.
You know, May's brain has to be confusing.
Absolutely.
Because really, what goes through her brain?
like war plans.
Anyway, war plans.
She's strategic.
She is. She's masterminding up there. Okay, but her father could have been the one to stop her.
Or her mom. Her parents, obviously
else.
We're not watching her that closely. It also speaks to how closely I was just watching May the whole time that she noticed this. Nobody else notices it because they're in the fight, but I was just watching May specifically.
Yeah, that's good. But, also the dad doesn't care about her, so he'd probably just use that against her, be like, hey, see, I told you, you're blind, you can't do anything for yourself. Even though it would have been his fault because he's the one who literally broke it, and they're in her house where she has made sure everything is tailored to her. We've already talked about this.
Well, no, the dad take responsibility for his own actions? He'd be like, look what you made me do, May. You made me break this, and then you stepped on it, and you made me hurt you.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, he's like a narcissist, okay? Mm-hmm. Because nothing is his fault. It's always everybody else. I got narcissism from him.
Yeah. He would let her get her leg cut off if it proved his point.
But then if she got her leg cut off, that would shame him. So I don't think he would let it go that far, but, anyway.
Fair.
So, okay, so then now that Oom's been outed as being here the whole fucking time, May looks towards the voice, right? And I think May in this moment is torn between the shame of Ai seeing this fuckery and also the relief that her, knight in shining armor came for her, even though she said, don't come here. So May's feelings just got a little more complicated than being like, I have to be the void that beat this man. She's like, oh shit, Ai's here. And then dad turns and sizes up, quote, and looks disgusted by her. And then he says to May, this is your decision. And it's like, sir, obviously you don't have taste. Look at her. And
seriously.
But I think this is a classism. There's classism happening when he sees, quote,
yeah. Okay, that's fair. But seriously, look at her.
Look at her.
She's amazing.
She's really hot right now. You should
seriously.
Damn, girl.
She's always hot. But watch her put a jacket on.
In slow motion. And you'll understand.
But of course he just continues to be an asshole and blames May wanting to be with on her being blind, because apparently those things are related. And your feelings definitely change if you can't see, apparently.
Okay. I really think that was a classism line, because I think he's insulting, quote, because looks like a DoorDash driver. Okay? And I think that insults him, that his daughter is not only blind, and not only queer, which he does not like, but she's dating below her social class, which I think shames him also. So I think that's why he's like, obviously you got entangled with this woman because you're blind. She's a street urchin and you're a princess. That's what he's getting at also. Because he's judging this DoorDash driver by her looks and not her personality, because he's a classist monster, basically.
Exactly. And that's after that comment, then that's when he tells May that she's making him feel ashamed to call her his daughter because of this same-sex thing, which again, Chet's still worse than this, but
yes, Chet's is the actual worst.
Chet's was the absolute worst.
Oh my god.
But this is still not good. But again, he's only thinking about his feelings. He does not care about anybody else. I mean, I guess the name too, but it's still him, so
right.
It's his.
Just
again,
him.
The narcissistic behavior. And poor May. Again, the Nam Tam film, you guys are so heartbreakingly beautiful with your acting, because
seriously,
May still has her stone face on, but one teardrop falls from her eye. And it's so sad. And Ai is looking down while he says this, because what else are you supposed to do when your girlfriend's father is being homophobic and you don't know what to do? Because what can she do at this moment?
she can't do it. That's the thing. Like, she can't do anything because that would be like against all etiquette. So she actually can't do anything, is the shitty part. She just has to watch this.
Yeah, and she does look up to check on May because someone has to. Again, like, this is her focus.
And I just want to say, hydrate, to your point, hydrate for film in this scene with not only the single tear, the hovering tear she had the whole scene with the dad berating her.
She's great. You're doing amazing.
Her performance was masterful, and just like the control she had with the hovering tears and then the single tear at the end. Well job, ma'am. Great acting.
That has to be so difficult.
Seriously,
like, how do you hold it?
Listen, and it's not like it's a short scene where she's holding those tears. That was a long scene where she was holding those tears. Like, that control is crazy.
Which means whatever she was doing to get herself to that point of having a tear, she had to be in that for that long. She had to stay
there, like,
and then, but like, not put herself too over the edge of being sad. So, like, are you okay?
She has some really rough sadness scenes, and like, they're not short. Like, film scenes where she's being upset are fucking long. So she's an endurance actor. Like, holy shit, like, good like, well done. Like, that was not easy what you were doing, and you did it for a very long time, which is also not easy. And that was one take we saw, not all the takes that probably went into this.
So again, double hydration.
Yes, film, I hope you were hydrating on set, because
seriously, yes, I hope you had so many gallons. Well,
like that water bottle Taylor Hickston had for Motherland.
Yeah, the big ass water bottle.
All the crying scenes.
Okay, but anyway, back to the scene. Yeah. This is when May does look towards him and tells him that she's also ashamed, but she's ashamed to call him her father. Because, like, yeah,
duh.
Like, he is shameful.
And but also, like, for a child in Thailand to say this about their father.
Oh, yes. That's huge, a good
bigger
point.
Than if American said it. Yeah.
That is a
in
big
front factor. Of an outsider who's like, this was really bold for May to say. Like, and again, she's not somebody who makes mistakes or like isn't strategic. So like, this came from a real place of her being fed up to say this because of how strategic she is.
And really, he should be ashamed that May got stuck with him as a father, because he's terrible.
He is terrible. I agree.
But of course, he would never see it that way. So she walks away from him. And I love that she does remove herself from here, because I think this is important to point out. Because it is okay to remove yourself from conversations where you aren't safe, or conversations that aren't going anywhere. Like, at a point when it's just going round and round and the same arguments over and over, that means you're too emotional. Like, you can't see it from each other's point of view. Now, this conversation has, like, other things going on, because, like, the homophobia, and the dad's never going to change.
But the thing is, like, he's not listening to her, so it's not a conversation. Yeah. He's talking at her, and that's not a conversation, to your point. Nothing's going to get resolved. It's just toxic emotion. So May leaving is absolutely okay, because that was not a conversation. He was just, like, lecturing her.
And it's
an adult.
It's important to anyone, but for her to protect herself however she can, right, which is walking away. And, like, in general, it might just be an argument where you have to pause yourself and go back to discussion at another time to make sure you or the other person doesn't say things without actually thinking. That one doesn't apply to here, but I just think it's a very important thing to keep in mind, because I've been in a lot of therapy. So thank you, therapy, for this valuable lesson, because you never really think about just, like, pausing arguments and, like, coming back. But could be a better tactic, so you don't ruin relationships in the heat of a moment.
It's like when you're having feelings and you want to text that person, write it down in a letter and put it in a drawer and revisit it later. Okay, it's that kind of thing.
See, this is how letters get sent to people, though. If you have a younger sibling, this is an XO Kitty reference.
Write it in a journal. like Ai's doing.
Yeah. It's yeah, it's like write the email, don't send it, delete it.
Yeah, just wait till your emotions are gone and then reread it and be like, should I send this? Heart versus brain, just like our listener said. Okay, so in this scene, I feel really bad for May that, number one, this is her home life situation. We didn't know a hell of a lot about May other than she was rich, a lawyer, had a cousin who's a doctor. Here's her home life. Here are her parents. It's pretty fucking shitty, number one. This is our first glimpse into that in the show. Number two, this horrible, ridiculous insight into her family life is happening in front of Ai. Like, May literally just got Ai back into her life, and she knows her relationship with Ai, while it's getting better, which is what we've seen this episode, is still fragile, and Ai is somebody who spooks easily. She was looking in her car for many days or something. Like, Ai spooks. So here's Ai. She's like, I don't come here. And then Ai walks in and witnesses this horrible situation, okay? So I feel like a part of May is mortified that this is all happening with Ai as a witness, and she cannot see Ai's reaction to any of this. I did not really talk or participate in this other than to be like, don't step on that. So she has no idea how Ai processed any of this family drama that's embarrassing, where she was being belittled from start to finish, right?
Yeah, it could have scared her off.
Yeah, and then we see Ai this entire scene, and think about Ai's point of view. Ai has never looked smaller than she did in this whole scene. Like, she was framed in the doorway, in the dark, away from this, and she looks small. She's always the furthest away from, like, the camera, unless we're, like, literally on her face. So she looks really small because, like we said many times, like, I really can't do much in this conversation. Like, she's a tough guy, we know that, but, like, she has zero power in this whole situation. Like, she came to rescue May, but she's powerless because in this situation she can't actually do anything, even if she wants to. She just has to, like, witness this whole thing go down, which is shitty for her.
It's very shitty. I mean, she can comfort her later, but yeah, again,
right.
Now her parents are literally standing in front of her. Where do you even go from here?
But, like, in this moment, I can't do anything. She's powerless right now. Later she can do stuff, and she will, but, like, right now she's powerless, which is shitty.
But the dad is about to go after May, and that's when May's mom stops him. And okay, unfortunately she does blame it on May's actions when she is angry, but she makes him stop and pause this conversation. She doesn't, I wouldn't say let him, because if he really wanted to, he would go after her. But I think he was just frustrated at this point too, and knew that it wasn't going anywhere. And he turns on her mom and tells her that all she does is run away from her problems. And he blames her for not being able to guide her child to be a decent person. And, like, sir, I wish he would run away from you.
Me too.
But also, we see this anger, like, it has to be pointed towards someone. It was at May, but now May is not here. So then it goes to the mom. And I really do need her to run away from him, because this is terrible. Okay. So we also need to go over something else again. May is a lawyer who is literally trying to make the world a better place for those who are disabled and, like, accessibility in general. I think she is the most decent person you could get. She's on a great path, sir.
Yeah, but he doesn't care about that, because human rights isn't profitable, and again, he's a narcissist who's always going to find fault. Because, like, look at the conversation, if you want to even call it that, with May and then her mother. Nothing was his fault. Everything he blamed on May and her mother. Like, he took this whole situation, which the whole situation is May's life, and made it about him. That's a narcissist.
Big time.
Yeah. So, like, there is no winning an argument with a narcissist. Like, you watch the mom, and to your point, it is really fucked up that, it's fucked up that she's like, oh, she kind of like blamed May a little bit. But I don't think that's what she was doing. I think she was speaking his language to a narcissist by being like, you know how she gets. It's not your fault. You know how she gets. Just calm down. It was her. Like, that was a way to talk to him, to get through to him, and it did for like a second. And then he's like, but it's your fault too. Like, you know what I mean?
That's valid.
I think that's what she was kind of doing, because she's been with him for years, and
that makes
probably
sense,
knows how to speak his language to protect herself too.
If she would have stuck up for May in this moment, it would have come out more anger on her, and I
right.
Probably
it just
been hit by him.
It doesn't get through to him. It would just escalate itself. She's trying to de-escalate it by speaking his language, I think, personally.
And that makes a lot of sense. I think that's definitely what happened. And the father's last move is to just shake his head at Ai as he leaves. And this makes Ai cower, because she definitely has some trauma around overhearing people talk about her. Because that's just what people do.
Yeah.
And May's mom reluctantly follows him out of the house. And I think she needs to find Dokkarak's mom and start a support club.
For abusive husbands? Yeah, I agree.
My gosh. Support one another.
What I thought was interesting in this scene was that when the adults, like the elder adults, they go to leave, Ai doesn't why either of them, which is like the little thing, the Thai form of respect where they put their hands together and they bow. Ai doesn't do that to either of them, which I think is interesting. The only thing she does out of politeness is she does like nod her head to the dad, not the mom, just the dad, as like a deference respect thing, but there's no like big form of respect happening here, which I thought was interesting behavior coming from Ai. Like, the whole thing is weird, but like I would have expected her to like bow to like the adults, but she really doesn't. Like, that's a head bow, that's it.
But like the respect's not there. The respect's not there.
Well, it's like, it's not an earned respect. So like in America, it's very much like respect is earned, but like it's not like that in Thailand, from what I understand. It's more like this is it's a homogenous group, and it's like you show respect to people who are older than you, regardless of the situation. So I thought it was just, maybe I was very shell-shocked and just didn't. Because later on, we have scenes where May takes Ai to her parents' house, and Ai does Y both. Like, she does the Y when she greets them. Here she doesn't, and I just wonder if she was just shell-shocked and just by the whole situation she like flew into and was like, what the fuck is this?
Yes, that's a good possibility too, because she's just left alone trying to process what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
And like what to even do next, because like that's a lot to process, because she's coming in not really knowing anything about the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting all this dumped really quickly, knowing that it's affecting someone she loves, and not being able to like do anything directly to fix the situation.
Yeah. Okay, so while Ai like is trying to figure out what to do next after the parents leave, her eyes immediately trail after May, because like I said earlier, like she's mostly been fixated on May during this whole ridiculous exchange, because that's her whole focus. Like, yeah, the parent stuff is like disturbing and weird, but like her focus was always May, and then May's gone. So then she's like, immediately after the parent, she's like, where did May go? Like, it just shows you like the way I was literally just there for May, and like May doesn't leave her mind during this whole scene, even though it's ridiculous.
I'm glad that May has that, and I know May would do the same for Ai. It's just not a narcissistic relationship.
No, not
the opposite to the parents. All right. So Ai goes to find May, who is sitting by water feeling her feelings.
And the fact that we were sitting by water while being sad should tell you who wrote the source material for this story.
It's hilariously accurate.
It is a Chow Planoy thing to have her sad characters go sit by water.
But the last time we were here, they were happy. I mean, I did go to her car and look for something for over 24 hours, but they were happy.
We had the bandage scene here.
Yeah.
With the finger.
And Ai tells May that she can lean on her, and then they can go back inside once she feels better. And this makes May smile, but Ai doesn't see it.
Because this is the Secret Smiles episode.
Yes, the secret smiles. That's...
Ai keeps consistently missing smiles that are meant for her, which is so sad because she needs them.
It's just like she's missing the fact that people care about her.
That too. Which is what the smile means. Yeah. I just love the sincerity with which Ai says, lean on me. Like, she came to May. So, like I mentioned earlier, during the fight, there's literally nothing I could have done. But here she can do something. So she goes to find May after this horrific family blow up and did not ask May to explain. She's not like, what was that? Nothing. She says, I'm here for you without judging you at all. This is your time. I love that she says that. That's another way of Ai giving May what she needs in the moment. And just is very instinctual for Ai to just say this, right? And the smile that May gives Ai, well, Ai doesn't see it, but it's the first genuine smile May has had this whole sequence of scenes. Because she was stone-faced, crying. Even when Ai approached her, she wasn't smiling. Like, here she's smiling. So you can see how much Ai's response really touched her heart. Because I think this is the one thing that they share, which is they both have a way of giving each other what they need in the moment they need it. And I truly think that is the beauty of their relationship, and the fact that that dynamic is very natural. Like, I didn't force any of this. Her instinct was to say, I'm here for you for whatever you need. Just like when May was on the phone with her at the beginning of the phone date, she's like, you're saying your grandma's okay, but you sound sad. I'm not going to push you for details, but just know that, like, I'm here when you're ready. That's what Ai is saying to May in this moment. So she's reciprocating what May did earlier on the phone call, which is really cute. And I love that about them.
So sweet.
It's very sweet.
They're very reciprocal in this relationship.
Agreed.
And May feels for Ai's shoulder to literally lay her head on her shoulder.
To literally lean on her.
Yeah.
Literally.
And, like, this is probably the only thing that could bring her comfort in this moment, because she knows that the person that she's been longing for is finally with her. Of course, she's not her full self with her, but she is next to her right now, willingly letting her lean on her.
And, like, Ai smiles because May is taking her up on her offer, like, literally. And, of course, May misses it because she can't see. So, again, secret smiles. But what's cute about this scene from Ai's point of view is in the prior scenes we saw with Meemaw, like, we saw how much Ai had to fight to get Meemaw to just, like, take her up on her offer to help her, which was sincere coming from Ai. But, like, I had to, like, go through a bunch of back and forth of Meemaw being like, no, Ai, go away. And then she kept wearing her down, right? But here with May, she offers, she's like, hey, I'm here for you. And May immediately takes Ai up on this offer to be her rock to lean on when she needs somebody. And that's something that I always wanted also, was just to be there for people she cares about and for them to want her to help them and love them. And so she is literally getting all the things she wants and needs from May in just this little scene of just, like, offering help, having that help being taken seriously, and May taking her up on that offer willingly and, like, with a smile on her face. Like, come on.
Which is why this relationship is so great, because they both need it.
They're very cute together.
That's an understatement.
I know, it really is.
But May asks Ai why she feels so warm. And
so cute.
I assume that she means, why is she so good at making someone feel better? And May says that Ai's family must have raised her really well.
And I wonder if May says this because she was feeling so badly after her disaster family did all the things they just did in the prior scene. Like, your family raised you well, so the comparison is like, my family is trash and would never comfort me like that. Because we do get scenes later with like flashbacks from May from her family when her dad like upset her. Her mom didn't really comfort her the way that Ai is right now.
Her mom would have.
I mean, you could talk. There's a siren, so I had to stop.
Okay.
So yeah, her mom didn't. She was just like said some words and then left. So she didn't like say lean on me, let me hug you, which is what May probably needed. So May might be like, hey, your family raised you to be like affectionate and hug people and like be a warmth is like safe, like be a safe person kind of thing. I wonder if she's saying that based on Ai's behavior here, or if this is like a comment to be like, was also good at this. So like when May was sad, was like comforting. So I do wonder if like, did Ai and share this personality trait? Because like she's commenting on the family, and is part of that family.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't think of I don't really think of that much.
Poor
Sorry, I'm so sorry, We will get to you. We will. But right now we're still with Ai. Ai responds that she was raised simply, just like any other kid. To which May responds, that's my dream. I just want to be raised in a simple way. And again, with the heartbreaking scenes, man. Because, I mean, we see, but like, her parents never actually parented her. Like, she wasn't given an opportunity to grow up like other children, have that emotional connection with her parents. And later she says that in this conversation, she says she doesn't know what family feels like, which just reiterates this. Like, her family is now Ai. Ai is her world. I mean, technically, and Meemaw are also part of this family because she's marrying them. Anyway, we'll get there one day.
And technically, she has Tan, but he like kind of betrayed her a little bit at some point.
Yeah, the dad got to him.
But the thing is, when you're looking at their, because like a lot of this is episode right now, we're comparing their families, right? May and Ai's family situations. And while Ai's family situation is bittersweet and not perfect, to me, May is the more heartbreaking one because she's an only child. And so she's going through this literally alone, whereas May, I mean, I had to some extent. Like when they lost their parents, she had Then they got estranged. She kind of has Meemaw. Like Meemaw's there for her when she, as a human, not just being like you're an extension of me. And so when May is sitting here being like, I just wanted to be raised in the simple way, I think what she means is she wanted to be raised in a family that's focused on family and not maintaining status. So like this is the like double-edged sword of being a rich kid, right? In this kind of society where like her parents raised her that way. She probably had nannies and like, and then was raised to like go to private school and then like behave a certain way and you're going to take over this company. Like that kind of plot line we keep seeing over and over again. And the way the dad comes here and he's like, you're not fulfilling your end of the bargain. I gave you literally everything and now you're shaming me. And that's how her family operates versus like Ai's family's not perfect, but like at the end of the day, like everyone's there for when Um's in the coma and like Ai tucks in Meemaw at night and like we'll see that like Meemaw does do things for Ai, and while they're like not communicating, like their relationship is built on love and supporting each other in a very like day-to-day way versus like a status investment in the future, protect the name of the family kind of way. So like that's what like May wanted. She like, I wanted a family that loved me, not like a family that just saw me as a part of the family. And like the thing is like that's what Ai wants too. Ai just wants to be loved by her family also in that simple way. And the conclusion is that they're soulmates, Your Honor. Like they both want the same thing.
And we see that reiterated many times throughout this show. That's why like you kept bringing up like they're compliments to each other.
Exactly.
And May goes on to say, but in reality, I was born to just disappoint my dad and sadden my mom. Again, another heartbreaking line. But let's not mistake things, May. Your dad is who saddens your mom. Okay?
Yeah,
and your father's excessive narcissistic ego is what fuels his disappointment. It is not you. It is never the child. It is the parent's issues. That is what they're feeling. in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay. And then May reveals that her dad wanted a son, and then her mother couldn't have any more children after she was born. And like, this is such an awful thing to be taking out on her.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why he's never gotten that paternal bond to her, because she's not what he wanted. I don't know if this would be any different if it was a son. Like, what if she was a son and was gay? Would it be different? I don't think so, because of the name thing.
I don't think so. If the boy was gay, I mean, there would be like, again, because what's his whole motivation? It's status, and then doing things the traditional way, the right way. So if she had a boy, there'd be more leeway because it's a boy. So he would behave slightly differently, right? Because you have a proper heir or whatever. But then if the boy didn't follow the traditional path he sent him down, it would be this too, where you're shaming me and you should know better and blah, blah, blah. And like, that would be a sticking point no matter what, I think. Because this is about tradition and like a traditional, like wealthy family situation that her dad has in his head that they have to follow. Like, that's motivating a lot of this. But like overall, like this being like, it's your, like, you couldn't be a boy, like, and your mother can't have kids and it's your fault. That is an unfair amount of pressure to put on a child, because like, it's just out of her control and you're blaming her. It's like victim blaming in a way. And for May to sit here and express this to Ai is really shitty, because this type of like condemnation she's getting from her dad must have been going on her entire life. Like, that's really shitty to like have your dad express that to you your whole 20 plus years of existence. Like, that's pretty fucked up. And then I do wonder from a writing perspective, because I can't remember if this was just correct me if you've read the novel. I can't remember if this part was in the novel or if this is just for the show, because like GMMT and family dramas. But I do wonder if this outcome of her family having one girl and they can't have any more kids, I wonder if this is her father's karma in a way, because he's done a bunch of terrible things, and we see that in order to preserve his status, he's willing to like manipulate the law to get rich people off, like his business partner's son, out of murder and shit like that. Terrible bad energy to put into the universe. So I wonder if this is his karma in a way, that is like, you're getting a girl and that's it. Because May does say the line, I feel like they're bad fortune. So I do wonder if this is like the way it was written was kind of like a karma thing coming from the dad's actions. And so as a narcissist, of course, he would not recognize that this is his karma. He's just like, this is your fault for being born. Because that's his pattern of behavior as somebody with a narcissistic personality. It's never his fault. It's everybody else's fault that he's not happy or whatever.
That's definitely plausible. It's good insight into that as well. But the good thing about this, the only bright spot,
the good thing
out of this situation, is that it makes Ai and May able to relate to each other more.
Yeah.
Because May always felt like she wasn't enough because she wasn't the son who her father wanted. She literally could not be.
No.
While Ai had to feel like she wasn't enough compared to
Oof. And it's really encapsulated by the line that May says, where she says, I've never known what, quote, family feels like, because neither has I. And honestly, once May says this, Ai looks like she's having a little epiphany, because she relates to that on a soul level. And then A Princess's Tale, the instrumental, starts playing in the background, because like, this is the start of their story of like, they understand each other. It's like the prince, the princess, and like the pauper. That's kind of like their story a little bit, but like there's something really deep and human that connects them, which is like they just want to be loved in a real way. And it's like, I also have never felt that. Wow, you're my soulmate, basically.
It's like such a simple thing, like just, I want to be loved. I want to feel loved. And it's super sad that, yeah, like it's something like humans crave.
That's why there are so many fucking love stories constantly being written, because it's something that humans want. and not everybody gets it in the way they want it. So like hence all these pieces of art just being like, this is the thing really that connects us all, and this is the thing that we actually do really pray, like put on a pedestal above many things, which is this just like pure soul level like love between people.
And Ai shows that they can relate to each other by telling May exactly how she is feeling. So she says, "You feel like an outsider, like you're in the wrong place." And this is causing them both to feel like they don't belong, which makes it completely understandable that they are trying to cling to each other once they find someone who makes them feel like they do. Like, that's why Ai isn't coming clean about not being That's why May just goes along with everything, too. Like, they just want to have that feeling of being loved, and like they finally feel like how they've always wanted to, and no one wants to ruin it. And that's the big thing, overarching theme in the show, is like, do you risk it or just stay hidden and like have what you want? And May says that she's embarrassed to have parents like hers, and like, honestly, I get it.
Understatement.
Yeah. And admits that sometimes she wishes she were deaf too, just to shut herself off from everything. And again, another very heartbreaking statement, but also completely understandable with the way that her father is always yelling and like violent. And I mean, really, it's not a surprise that she wants to live away from him, because like, who wants to live with that dude? Who wants to be anywhere near him? And it's probably why she has the gate outside. And then while doing notes, I was thinking about this damn gate. And like, I think this is exactly what the gate represents, because it shuts herself off from the outside world, because she inside, like, she's created this world for herself that she knows, and she knows every aspect of it. And having like the gate, like the separation between the gate and her front door, represents just how far she wants to remove herself from all these people. And it's also a way to make people do more to even get to her, when those around her always want everything from her. So like, they always expect her to meet them where they are, but this is the way to get them to come to her. And like, this damn gate, if you really think about it, means
Well,
a whole lot.
it's like May never felt safe as a kid, so that when she became an adult, she like overcompensated and literally built her own castle, like with a gate that's walled off, so that people who make her feel unsafe can't get to her easily. Like, she built her own castle walls, basically, and like emotionally too. Hence, during the scene with her father, where her father's yelling at her, he's breached the physical castle, he's yelling at her, and you see May's emotional castle walls. Hence why she was like still as stone, emotionless. It reminded me of like Castle Wall, the way she's just like, he's the battering ram trying to break her down, and she's like fortified and standing there. So it's just really shitty. And like, again, May did this alone, all of it. She built the castle, built the emotional walls alone, just so she could isolate herself to protect herself, which is, when I say her story is sadder, like, her story is so fucking sad when you really get into it. Like, poor May.
It's true, but now she doesn't have to be alone, because
Well,
she has
yeah.
Ai.
Yeah,
And
this is
Ai
why
tells
she's
her,
been this is why she's been chasing Ai for so long. Ai was the first person that made her feel brave.
oh, God, so beautiful. Again, heartbreakingly beautiful.
It is.
That's the alternate title for this whole show.
And like, what's cute is that the scene you're about to describe, Ai does it again, where she like makes her brave. It's cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ai tells May that there is a way to drown out the voices in your mind, and then she challenges her by saying, "It's whether you're too scared to do it." And we now know that May never backs down from a challenge. That's how we've gotten here. Yeah, like, because she's had to not back down from challenges her whole life. It's literally how she got to this point where she is. And May picks her head up and changes the hand holding eyes as she says, I'm not scared of anything as long as I have you. And then she leans back on Ai. And it's just, again, another way to show how these two complement each other, because Ai does make May feel braver.
Yeah, and that stems from their very first interaction. But I just want to like piggyback off of the scene. So when she basically says, I'm not scared of anything as long as I have you, May does this thing where she changes the way they're holding hands. So the way they were holding hands before is more like a kid clutching onto somebody who just needs comfort, where it's like their palms are touching. Okay, which is just can be read as many, it's like intimate, but not super intimate. It's just more like physical contact. So then what she does is she arranges their hands so that their hands are intertwined, which is more of like a romantic thing to do and more like a deeper intimacy type of hand holding. So she does that before she like tells Ai, like, I'm not scared of anything as long as I have you, to kind of show her that like this is like coming from a place of love, what she's saying basically. And I love that May says this because May's courage came from Ai. When they first met, she was being bullied, and Ai was the one who's like, why do you let people bully you? Like, basically, you have to figure out a way to defend yourself. Otherwise, people are just going to pick on you your entire life. And that's when May decided to like use her intelligence as her weapon. It came from Ai. So all the things we see her doing of like creating the castle, the emotional walls, doubling down on stuff, never backing down from a challenge, that all comes from her first interaction with Ai. So when she's saying, I'm not scared of anything as long as I have you, she really means that so sincerely, because that is where her courage stemmed from. It stemmed from Ai to begin with, which I just love. And the irony that Ai does not even understand the depths of what May is saying in this scene. Like, if she did, her little poetic brain would run with that wild. Like, she would love that so much. Like, but like,
I wonder, like, if there's just epiphanies later about like conversations they had. Be like, oh my god,
there has to be. There has to be.
There was a double meaning there.
There has to be. Ai doesn't forget things that May says. Like, she files things away, so she must. As a writer, she must be like, damn. Like later on.
Yeah.
In general, like in this conversation where I was like, basically like, you can talk to me when you're ready. This is a parallel scene to earlier. I thought it was really big of May to open up pretty easily to Ai about something she's deeply embarrassed about, her words, which is her fucking family. Not that she could hide it from Ai, because I saw the family fight, but it's May, right? May, if she wanted you to be gaslit, she would figure out how to do it and be like, she would cover it up if she really wanted to. But I think it's telling that she doesn't. She chooses to trust Ai with the truth of her family, and even like gives her background information about it. I thought that was really big coming from May, because a lot of their interactions are May kind of not concealing the truth from Ai, but like not getting into her own situation. Like, it's very like artifice, where it's like, here's all my money, here's all this and that. But here was a really real moment where she's like, here's me, here's where I came from, here's my family situation. Like, that's real shit to get into, you know? And she did it willingly.
Yeah.
And I also love her confession, like, where she's like, sometimes I wish I was deaf too. Like, yeah, it's heartbreaking and sad, but it's so sad when you really think about it. Because again, May's been isolated, and she's an only child. She has nobody to confide in when it comes to her family shit. Yeah, there's Ton, but he's the cousin, not like her actual sibling. So like, he doesn't live in the house with them. Like, it's not the same. Like, she's closer to her parents, like by proximity, by blood, than he is. So she like, nobody could really understand truly 100% what she's going through, because she's alone in it. And so it's really sad that her wish here is to further isolate herself from the world even more by removing another one of her senses just to protect herself. And that's really fucking sad if you think about it.
Is this a version of flight, though, in a way?
No, I think this is a sacrifice thing where she's like, I sometimes wish that like I couldn't hear it, or like I couldn't see it. And just like, it's a form of self-protection, I think. Because, like, you see the scenes, what is she going to do? Even when she argues with him, it ultimately ends in nothing. When she stands up to him, she gets hurt. So it's like, how can she overcome this bully? It seems like this insurmountable mountain of a task that she has to do with her dad. And it's been 20 plus years in the making, and she's made, her only progress is to leave and make her own life, without his help. Which is what she ends up doing. She's like, I want to owe you nothing, and I'll do my own life. That's the only way I can get away from you. So I do wonder, though, this whole thing of like, I wish I couldn't hear, I wish I couldn't see when they fight and this and that. I wonder if that's how May felt as a kid. Like, before I gave her courage to stand up on her own 2 feet, where she's like, I just wish, to your point, I could run away and hide, basically. But then I gave her this courage and was like, hey, there's got to be other ways you can stand up for yourself. And she does figure it out eventually as an adult. So yeah, I'm very glad we got into May in this episode. Like, more of who she is, who she was. Because she's an enigma, really, for a lot of the show. She is. Like, who's
Seriously, who was
I miss
We only had like the few flashbacks at this point while watching.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like, this I thought was a really big episode. You get a lot of depth of like Ai and like how she loves people and how she feels unloved. And then you get May and figure out that she's in a similar situation, and like really get to see what her family is like and how that shaped her and traumatized her. And then they bond over it. I think that is what we needed to move the story forward. So I really like this episode a lot. It gives us a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of development in relationships in this episode.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Forward. Yeah. Progress. Right. Hashtag progress.
Hashtag moving on. So, all right, so that brings us to our final thoughts. So, what Taylor Swift songs do you think go with this episode? I can go first unless you have one you want to talk about.
Honestly, like, the outside still works because Ai is still trying to work her way to the inside. We've made some progress, though.
We did. I have 2 songs I think go with this. First is for May's dad, which is Look What You Made Me Do, because this man cannot take responsibility for anything. It's always everybody else's fault. And then when he does something, he's like, look, you made me destroy that. How dare you? So that's for May's dad. Reputation. That's his album, let's be honest.
Yeah, because this is why we can't have nice things.
Right. And then I think for Ai and May, they get Cardigan for this episode, which is I love that song. It's such a special, special song because they come to the realization. Ai has that little epiphany where she's like, oh shit, we're the same. Because when I felt like an old cardigan under someone's bed, you put me on and said I was your favorite. That's literally them in this scene, in this episode, because I felt like unloved. And then May's like, no, I love you, basically, through her actions. And then same thing with May, where she was like, I had no courage, and then you gave me courage. And that helped me. I think that fits them for this part of the episode, personally.
Cardigan is perfect. I agree.
It's perfect in general, but I think it fits here.
Yes.
All right.
Which brings us to our big gay energy award. Woohoo! All right.
Woo! All right.
What's your award?
My award for this episode. I think it's May being like, when Ai's in the shower and she's like, I never wished I could see more than today. Like, that took a lot of big energy. That scene was great.
That's good. I was just going to say the 72-hour phone call that wasn't actually 72 hours, but definitely lasted a very long time. Yeah.
Also, yeah, their whole, I'm going to talk to you till I fall asleep. Very, very
also, like, just knight in shining armor, Ai running into yet another situation that she has no idea.
Yeah, the classic Ai. Yeah, love it.
Classic Ai.
Classic Ai. It was great. That's why we love her so much. Sometimes she's no thoughts, just do.
No thoughts, just gay.
Yes, that's Ai.
But yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have come to the end of this episode. And with that means I have to give you something to do in the comments. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's a phrase. This time it's just a random challenge. So we said the phrase, well, Theora has definitely said the phrase secret smile quite a bit at the ending of this episode. So what you're going to do is you're going to input a smiley face randomly in your comment or review. And that's it, because it's a secret smile. Only
that's great.
people who end this episode will know what the smiley face means.
That's probably going to be the title of this episode, so love it. Give us your best secret smile. We can't wait. Just know that we'll smile when we see it. So
yes,
between us,
we will.
It's between us.
Every time we see the challenge or anything, I smile and then we talk about it, and we see you.
We see you. So thank you guys for making it this far. I'm pretty sure next week you will have another Pluto episode, so it's not going to get interrupted. Fingers crossed. So
don't forget about the giveaway.
Do not forget about the giveaway.
It ends at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Pacific Time on July 11th. And yeah, I had another thing to not forget, but I don't remember what it is. So apparently it wasn't that important. So okay, join the giveaway.
All right. Well, do that, and until next time, hydrate for Lesbia Jesus.
And gay it up all over the place. Bye.
And with that, we've been Big Gay Energy. If you like this episode, check out all our other episodes right here on YouTube.
Please like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more amazing super gay content.